All right. Let's see here. Hey, there we go. Hey, Crush, can you hear me?
What's up, man?
Hey, there we are. We're live.
Yes. What's going on, man? How's it going, brother?
It's going. Let's see here. Let's see how many people we got watching. Whole world's watching. Whole world's watching. Yeah, I got to find the chat box here. Where the fuck that is. You think I would know what the hell I'm doing by now? Shit.
I got something to hold me over. A little action.
Yeah, man, I just fucking had something to eat, picked up some beer. Oh, fuck, where the hell is the chat box? I don't know. I got 6 viewers. 8 viewers, but I don't know where the fucking chat box is. God damn it. Yeah, I normally just do it with an encoder, but I'm doing it the old-fashioned way now.
Yeah.
Let me try this. I haven't done it like this in a while, so I kind of forgot what the fuck I'm doing. Let's try this. Here we go. Here we go. All right. We're good. All right, I can see everybody. Hey, how's everybody doing out there? There we go. Fucking great. Fucking right. All right. Looks like we got a lot of hellos and shit.
What's going on, guys?
All right, for some of you guys, I'm sure, that have been following the channel for quite some time, you've seen this guy, Crush. He definitely always comments and probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest supporter of the channel. So let's see. This live stream is going to be basically greaser talk. East Coast greaser, West Coast greaser. And Crush, you're about my age, ain't you? Crush, you're about my age, right? How old are you? You're what, 26? Wait a minute. Crush, can you hear me? Yo, Crush, can you hear me? I think we're having technical difficulties here.
No, I can hear you, brother.
Okay. Yeah, I was asking, man, you're about my age, ain't you? I'm 28.
Yeah.
26.
26, yeah, brother.
Okay, yeah. So, cats, you got a couple older cats here for some of you younger ones that have some questions about, well, being a greaser and what it's like being a greaser on the East Coast and on the West Coast.
I just got a live chat right now, man. So if you guys have any questions, just let us know.
Yeah, throw some questions out, guys. I'm going to read them to them so you can see what's going on here.
Speaking of which, how's the weather over by you, man?
Warm. Nice
Yeah?
and warm. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was gorgeous out today, man. I took the bike out. That's why I got like nothing in my hair right now.
Yeah, you got to put the head on.
Yeah, man.
Oh, here's a question. Do you know a good way to find greasers?
I mean, your local car shows, if you guys get flyers around, like what I usually do is I have friends of mine. We used to hang out over in Queens, New York. And what we used to do is we used to kind of like bop around all the time. And, you know, we would have older guys coming up to us like, oh, hey, you know, you guys got a sweet ride. And, you know, this, that, and the next thing, be like, yeah, but where's all the car meets at? You know, where are you guys hanging around? Where's all the cruising going along and the spots, you know? And you just kind of like talk to people and bullshit with people, and then they'll tell you something about where this hangout would be, location, what time, and the next thing you know, you just start meeting more and more and more people, and then it's like, oh shit, you know, there's a bigger family out there. They're just me and let's just say two of my best friends. You know.
Yeah, for us on the West Coast, it was the same thing. You start off by going to car shows. Well, since, you know, I started when I was in high school, and there were quite a few cats that were into it when I was in high school. You know, it was pretty easy to find out about local events, but back then everything was word of mouth. I mean, we had MySpace in those days, and you would get these little flyers on your wall that people would send out about a show. It's like, oh, you know, so-and-so's playing down at the Vault downtown, or there's a backyard show going on here. And it was always the same shit too. It was backyard show. They would have the list of bands that were playing, and they were all under cat guys, you know. And it would show the list, and then it would be like, you know, this guy, these guys, you know, fucking kick-ass, psychobilly, rockabilly show, punk rock, you know, whatever. There was always like a cluster of bands there. And then it would be like BYOB, no drama at the pad. And I always remember it was like that every fucking time, man. And then like you go to car shows. You know, the magazines like Old School Rods and Car Culture Deluxe, man, they always covered like all these different car shows, especially Viva because it was the biggest. And then we had Ink and Iron downtown Long Beach. That was real big, and that's unfortunately closed down now.
Damn, man. I know a couple of even bowling alleys. You go to like a bowling alley, your local pool hall or something. People are like, whoa, he's stuck in like the 50s. He's different.
Yeah.
He's a rebel. And that's what I get all the time, man. Especially like I'll go be bopping around through town, whether it be in the truck or the bike or something. And I'll always get that one person when I'm pulled up at a gas station. Oh, are you a fucking motorcycle rebel? Are you in a gang? It's like, no, dude. Like, there's nothing on my back. It's just straight leather. I'm a lone wolf, you know, and that's the most important and best thing to do. Just be yourself, relax.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Be cool. Here's a question. Where is it at? In your opinion, who is your favorite rockabilly singer?
Oh man, that's hard.
It is.
That's really hard. I'd have to go. I'd have to go with Carl Perkins.
Carl Perkins, yeah.
I really would, because everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, Elvis." It's like, if you really think about it, Carl Perkins is actually the first one that sung "Blue Suede Shoes," and then Elvis heard it, and he just kind of took off with it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, you're right. He did. Shit. I would say probably my favorite rockabilly. You know, he was rockabilly, then turned rock and roll as time went on, you know, because the dynamics of music changed, you know, when you started getting into the mid 50s, going into the later 50s. Gene Vincent. I love Gene Vincent. Pretty much all his early stuff, man. Fucking love Gene Vincent.
That's dope, man. I can see that.
Gene Vincent was wild. That's what I loved about him, man. It's like all his shit was fucking wild. It was raw. It wasn't like, you know, like I always looked at Elvis as like, you know, Elvis was like the teenage heartthrob rock and roll, and like Gene Vincent, man, he was like a proper greaser. I mean, there's like pictures of him like, you know, with the leather, like the leather jacket, and leather pants and stuff, just being wild and intense, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you, man.
Yeah, I always dug Gene Vincent, big time. Always been one of my favorites. One of my favorite songs by him was, oh shit, what was it? The Blue Jean Bop. Love that fucking song. That and Vicky Vi Vo Vo Vo, and then Race with the Devil was okay. I like some of the newer versions of Race with the Devil because it's a little faster and a little harder and more upbeat, you know?
Yeah, no, that song is definitely on the top 10 like cruising songs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
An old 57, you're just kind of bopping around with a little Betty in the side passenger seat. Hear that song come on, you just kind of like twist up the knob a little bit, stick your arm out if you're smoking a cigarette or something, and you just start cruising.
Yep. Wait a minute, we got one. My favorite rockabilly singer is Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry wasn't a rockabilly cat. He was a rock and roller. And there is a difference. I want to cover this. I've never really covered this too much in depth. There is a difference between rockabilly and rock and roll. Rockabilly is rhythm and blues and country mixed together. A lot of your old country artists and some of your like more hillbilly guys were, you know, they were rockabilly cats when they kind of mixed the rhythm and blues with rock, you know, with the country style. Rockabilly essentially is upbeat country music. It's like country music on steroids, old school country music, that is. Rock and roll stems right out of rhythm and blues. And basically it's like the rhythm and blues with a faster guitar. So think of rock and roll, old 50s rock and roll, as rhythm and blues on steroids. That's really the difference between the both. If you notice in like the old rock and roll songs, it was mostly guitar and you'd have sax. You might even have like, you know, the piano playing from like Jerry Lee Lewis. Jerry Lee Lewis was a rock and roller. He wasn't a rockabilly guy. Chuck Berry was a rock and roller. You take guys like, what's his name? You know, fucking, oh, fuck. Sorry, guys, I'm a bit of a brain fart. I got started a little bit late. You take like fucking, you know, God damn, fucking sitting here having a total brain fart moment. I'm getting old. Like Buddy Holly, dude. You take like Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly was not a rockabilly guy. He was a rock and roller. Richie Valens was a rock and roller. He wasn't rockabilly.
Where was it? Somebody actually said, "Should I bring a switchcomb to school?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, bring like a rat tail comb, man. And then when you get older and you're allowed to get tattoos, get one on the back of your fucking arm.
Yeah, there you go, man. No, sorry, but there was nothing rockabilly about Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly was a rock and roller. He wasn't rockabilly. If you listen to his stuff, it doesn't have that rockabilly swing to it. Maybe some of his earlier stuff might have had a crossover thing going with it, but Buddy Holly was always rock and roll. That's why they always say when they had the plane crash when Buddy Holly and, you know, the Big Bopper and Richie Valens, when they went down the plane, they called it the day rock and roll died. Even though, you know, there were a lot of other rock and rollers still going on, but it was kind of a pivotal point in the music history, because then you started having new stuff coming in. That'll be the day. I always consider that, of course, a rock and roll song, especially the guitar. Actually, I really love that song. I like that part. It goes. You know, I always liked that because I always felt like, because you think about rock and roll in that era, and them cats, like, they were doing something really new for its time. I mean, rock and roll with the guitar and everything, that was like hoodlum music. That was not acceptable by normal society. They were really pushing the bounds. especially when you started getting more like that real rock and roll guitar going in there. It was like, whoa, what the hell is this? You know, and parents were freaking out left and right. Well, some rockabilly did have drums. I mean, some of the early stuff had drums. Some bands didn't, but typically your typical rockabilly band has always been three-piece. Normally a drum, a bass, an upright bass, and of course a guitar. And if you really want to go old school with it, some of these cats that were living kind of like up in the hills back in the days that were doing their little bands, they didn't have a lot of money for music instruments. So like, for instance, he used to use the wash tub bass, and that was literally string on a wash tub with a string connected to it, and you would pull the broomstick to change the tone of the string when you were pulling it. I mean, hell, my dad had some cousins up in Herrick's Lane, and they were like your proper like hillbilly rockabilly types, and they used to do that shit. And this is back in the early to mid 50s, and they were up there and they were doing that. I mean, if you had a drum, you had a drum, and it was added. I mean, shit, take some of your early like Elvis, rockabilly songs when he was doing them, had drums. Does a military field jacket fit in with the greaser style? No. No, not so much. No, camo jackets don't really fit in with the greaser style. Greasers didn't wear camo jackets because most of them were already out of the military, out of World War II, and they were wearing leather bomber jackets, if anything. Oh, here's a good question. Which two rockabilly singers would you say are the genre standard?
Damn. New or old school?
Yeah, new or old school. Yeah, because I mean the genre has changed. Rockabilly is not quite what it used to be. It's a whole different kettle of fish now. I'm just waiting on the answer here. Both. Two of each. Okay. Two of each. So like two old school, two new school.
All right. I'd have to go with Jerry Lee Lewis. The man was sick on piano. He literally shred beyond belief, and that was the devil's music, quote unquote, for his time.
Yeah.
And then I got to go with my man Johnny Cash, the Man in Black. Yeah, he had some songs, but if you listen to more of his other songs, it talks about being in prison, like I Got Stripes, San Quentin, Folsom Prison Blues. Even that song, I Hung My Head.
Mm-hmm.
Newer, I mean, hands down, the Reverend Horton Heat. The Reverend Horton Heat definitely brings back that old, even though it's like Rocco / Psychobilly. Yeah. It's still intense. They still sing about picking up chicks. They still sing about cars, mostly cars and picking up chicks.
Yeah.
And I've seen those cats 3 times already, and every single time I see them, they just get better and better and better. They just came out with a new record 2 years ago. That was off the charts. If you guys ever have a chance to check it out, definitely do it.
All right, let's see. My 4 picks. When it comes to old school, when I think old school rockabilly, genre standard, I'm going to have to say Elvis, of course, because Elvis was extremely popular. And I'm talking about early Elvis, in his early days of like Milk Cow Blues and My Baby Left Me, That's All Right, Mama. In his actual rockabilly days before he got into like the Jailhouse Rock and Blue Suede Shoes, which were rock and roll songs. Yeah. I would say, let's see, Elvis Presley, because, you know, he really did set the standard and became the, you know, the big guy on top. And then let's see, Billy Art, hardcore. And I'm going to have to also probably go with like Gene Vincent, like Gene Vincent's early stuff as well. When I think of rockabilly, straight up rockabilly, I think of, you know, I think of those two. I think they had some of the most influential songs because, and I say influential, because specifically them, they were copied so many times over, especially like in the new era of rockabilly. Their songs still stand. I mean, the Stray Cats copied pretty much every Gene Vincent song he ever did, even going to the point where they actually did a song, Gene and Eddie, which was a mishmash of, you know, Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran's, you know, greatest hits. So I would say that those two are probably the most influential in the old days. And then new days, I'd have to take my hat off to, you know, like Big Sandy. I think Big Sandy is doing some great things, especially right now. He's got that real old school rockabilly vibe. You know, he's a great singer, a great entertainer. I know he's real big in the LA clubs and stuff like that. I mean, he's always playing somewhere in Southern California. He's real big, and he does it real traditional. And then, of course, when I think of like new school, I know one of the bands that had a big impact on me in high school was Three Bad Jacks. And I'm talking before they went more into like the psychobilly stuff, you know, when they were doing like more the older, a little bit more older style rockabilly. They were real new at the time, and they, you know, we just found out about them, and they were really just hitting everybody's CD player at that time. And I mean, and like Crush said, I think Reverend Horton, he definitely took it to a new level. It was like high octane fucking rockabilly. Same with like, I put them in the same category as like Blazing Haley, you know, real high octane, you know, rockabilly, and then that psychobilly crossover. The Meteors are cool. Yeah, the Meteors, man, they're like the first old school psychobilly fucking band from like the late 70s, early 80s in the UK. I remember the Meteors. Meteors were real big for us. We loved the Meteors. Now, here we go. Madman, do you think that putting denim vest over a leather jacket is part of the greaser style? Yes. I used to do it in high school. How about you, Crush?
Oh yeah, dude, I was notorious for it, especially when it came to like November, December. Absolutely, you know, towards like my later days in high school when I was really like fucking greasing, then I was really doing it. But before that, I was even doing it before then, when I was like a little punk rock kid. Except I had like a denim vest with the Exploited on the back.
Yeah, Exploited, yeah.
You know, iron crosses and shit. You know. Yep. Then as I got older, I'm like, all right, let me mellow this out a little bit.
Yep.
I had like a Mad Sin back patch on.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, a couple like coffin
cats.
Gas station logos were really big on my vest.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Sinclair Dyno, the Pegasus logo for mobile.
Mm-hmm. Route 66. The old Route 66, like the old Route 66 patch.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's see here. What other kind of questions do we got? I know I missed some stuff here. What about the Stray Cats? Oh yeah, we can't leave the Stray Cats out. Yeah, the Stray Cats. You know, what was interesting about the Stray Cats is when you had the rockabilly revival era during like the mid 70s, the late 70s, and going into the 80s. And the Stray Cats were playing New York back in the late 70s. And then they went across the pond to the UK because and this is a crazy thing, man. You know how like I've done videos talking about, you know, how information was very limited even in my era. Theirs was even worse. I mean, imagine this, Crush. I mean, imagine you and I are in a band, right, back in the 80s. And we're playing these little dive clubs in New York where they started out, and they're not making hardly anything. And then some cat comes up and says, hey, if you guys want to get popular, man, UK is where you want to go. That's where all the big shit is happening right now. And then literally selling our cars, fucking selling, selling our furniture, all of our shit, fucking packing up, taking our instruments, and getting passports and a plane ticket to go to the UK in hopes that we're going to make it there, and living on park benches in the UK while we're beating the streets in the daytime, getting gigs, and go to the park at night to go to sleep. That's some hardcore shit right there.
Yeah, man. Actually, funny story about the Stray Cats. Brian Sesler himself actually lives in New York.
Mm-hmm.
He lives out on Long Island. I can't give the address personally, but he does live out on Long Island, because I remember going to a supermarket, and I'm just kind of bopping around, minding my own business, and then sure as shit, he comes coming down the aisle, and I'm like, I can't candy, so I'm like dumbfounded. I'm like, oh my God, you're Brian Sesler. And he's like, you know me? I'm like, yeah, dude, I know you from the fucking Stray Cats. You and Lee Rocker, man. Are you kidding me? So we start shooting the shit for like 5 minutes. And he's like, hey, man, he's like, how old are you? I was like, I'm 20. I was 20 at the time. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm 20 years old. He's like, you know what, Cat? He's like, I appreciate you keeping our music and our style alive. You know, it was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I could imagine. It's like I was kind of almost the same way, like when I hung out with Brophy Dale. For a lot of you cats that don't know who Brophy Dale is, Brophy Dale he plays with Lee Rocker. Lee Rocker has his own band, and Brophy Dale is his guitar player. And if you ever see Brophy Dale, he's kind of got like longer blondish hair. He's a very short dude, surprisingly. He's very, very short. I met him when I was in 11th grade. I was at a party where he was playing with his own little private band on the side, and I got to hang out at their table all night long because I was the only greaser there. And it was interesting. Brophy Dale was saying that Lee Rocker doesn't really use the term rockabilly. He likes to call it roots music. And I'd heard that said before, but the phrase wasn't real popular amongst us cats. But I knew what he meant, roots music, because it kind of covered the old rock and roll, the old rockabilly, even some like the country and country western stuff. It all kind of, and like the blues, the rhythm and blues, it all kind of covered it. And if you listen to a lot of Lee Rocker's stuff, he does kind of like cross over into a lot of different like little genres and niches within, the rockabilly scene. And it was just really cool hanging out with those guys. And I know some of you cats have seen the pictures because I posted the picture when I was in 11th grade, and I'm stood there with, freaking Brophy Dale and, his band, and they were all shorter than me, but they were like in their like 30s, 40s, and I'm like sat there like just head and shoulders above them. It was hilarious, but they're great to hang out with. Let's see. What other questions we got? Oh, here's something interesting. There's a cat saying he's 11th grade, he's greaser, and he gets pissed off and like he's in the cafeteria and people stare at him and stuff like that. What's your take on that?
Hey, man, listen, we were all that age at one point. We all went through high school at one point. If they stare at you, just look at them and be like, hey, I'm fucking cooler than you. The fact that you're staring at me, the fact that you're taking time out of your life to check me out, I must be doing something right. So now let me do you the favor and scoop up your little Betty.
Yeah, it was the same thing for us, man. It was the same thing for us on the West Coast. A lot of people stared. A lot of people would like mutter and talk shit or whatever. But I kind of looked at it the same way. It's like, dude, if you're paying all this attention to me, then I must be doing something right, because I sure and fuck ain't paying attention to you. It's like, I don't even know who the fuck you are. I don't even know what your name is. I don't even know you for anything. You're just some generic fucking jerk off sitting there fucking talking shit at your table with your boys. I don't even know who the fuck you guys are. You know what I mean? It's like, but you guys sure seem to know me. So yeah, don't let it piss you off, cat. Just hang in there, keep doing what you're doing. If they're paying attention to you, then hey, it's good for you, right?
If he has his girlfriend with him, next time he's staring at you, just stare at his girlfriend. Then he'll be like, oh, you looking at me? I'm like, no, you're not that adorable. I'm looking at your old lady right there. She's cute.
Ooh, how about dressing in Florida humidity? Well, I know Crush would definitely know something about this question because being a New Yorker with high humidity in the city and everything, it's got to be killer.
It sucks, man. It definitely does. The best thing for humidity, t-shirts are going to be like your go-to for sure. T-shirts, if you can suck it up and wear jeans, definitely go for it. If not, get a pair of like plaid Dickies. Plaid Dickies with a pair of Converse, set to go, man. Absolutely set to go. And you'll still be looking good because you'll have a chain wallet with you or a dirty rag in your left pocket, whatever you prefer. Just keep on strutting to your own beat, man. That's it.
I would recommend, of course, the Dickies are cool. Like the, traditional Dickies are good. Another style of pants you guys might want to look for, and I know that they're really good because I've known some guys that have worn them. They're called Cool 18s, and they were designed for golf players. They're not all that expensive. If you look around, you can get a good deal on them, but you can get them in like black, gray, khaki, whatever, and they breathe. They breathe really nicely. So if you don't want to wear jeans, you don't want that, those thick denim jeans on. You want to wear something that gives you a little extra air. You can definitely go with like Cool 18s. Check them out. Golfers wear them all the time. They're always on the fucking hot field playing golf. So they want to have something that keeps them warm or keeps them cool and has a little bit of a wicking effect. T-shirts, like Crush said, I think are great. Even like, tank top, like wife beaters, like what I'm wearing. And then even when the night cools off a little bit, but it's still kind of warm, you can just wear a wife beater and a jacket or a flannel or whatever, wear your boots, wear your Converse. You got some nice dress shoes. You want to go styling and profiling a little bit. You wear those, you got your chain wallet, you got your rag, your comb, your hair's done up. Everyone's going to know you're a greaser. So that's what I'd recommend as well. Let's see. Okay, here's one. I don't know how to tell my parents that I'm a greaser, and it makes me sad because they just think that I'm acting out to be a pain in their necks, but I am just trying to be who I am. That's an interesting question. Little advice here. Good, Crush. What do you think about that?
I mean, honestly, brother, if your parents are looking at you like you're a delinquent, you're insane, this, that, and the next thing, don't even sweat it, man. As long as, you're coming home with good grades, with straight A's, or even, all right, let me be more realistic, because I'm not going to sit here and fucking preach that I got straight A's in high school. It's just not happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Come home with like B's, B pluses, and you're like a good student. You're not getting in trouble with Johnny Law. You're not getting in trouble with the school. The principal's not calling the house every single day. Like, oh, Mr. and Mrs., Johnny No Name is acting up in school again. There's an issue. As long as that's not happening, you're fine, man. You're absolutely fine. And plus, high school is the best place to do it because high school, for me at least, and I know the Madman can probably back me up on it, you were finding yourself. Yep. There was always that clique that was coming through. You always had I can close my eyes. I remember we had the ghetto kids. We had the goth kids, the punk kids, the metal kids. And then there was me and four of my friends that were the greasers. And then, of course, you had the jocks that hung out with the preps and the nerds that would hang out on the side.
Yep.
So everybody was kind of like categorized in like that one clique section. So as long as you're coming home with straight A's, you're not getting in trouble, you're not, getting jammed up with all that bullshit. You know what I mean, dude? You're fine, man. You're absolutely fine. And they'll soon realize it too. You know what I mean? But trust me, man, I'm not going to say I was the sharpest tool in the shed. I wasn't. I was doing the same thing you're doing in high school, except I made bad choices. I made poor decisions. I was, hanging out with the wrong people. I was getting jammed up with Johnny Law doing stupid fucking things. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you. I'll tell you straight up and how it is. And my parents looked at me like I was out of my mind and they thought I was a delinquent. And they thought it was just going to be a phase. And then after the years went by, they're like, all right, he's found himself. This is who he is in this world. He feels comfortable with himself where he can go to sleep at night and wake up the next morning and have like a shit ton of fucking pomade all over the place. And your hair looks like absolute garbage like it does right now. You know, and then you just go on your merry way.
Yep. Yeah, you know, I give the, you know, real pretty much the same advice to you cats as well. You know, when I was in high school, you know, like Crush was just talking about, I made bad choices as well. I mean, in that era, there really wasn't a whole lot of other choices to make if you were a greaser, quite honestly. I mean, information that we had about the lifestyle. I mean, we didn't even understand that this was even a worldwide thing. We knew some other people in countries were copying it. You know, we just kind of were like, oh, yeah, okay, they got their little scene over there. That's fine. That's cool. But, like, we didn't know any better. Like, to me, the streets of Long Beach were the streets of Long Beach, and that's all the fuck I knew. I didn't know anything else. And I mean, dude, I made some of the worst fucking grades in school. All of my friends made bad grades. We were, like, delinquents. Now, the friends that I hung out with the most, like, you know, my high school buddies, we weren't bad kids. We weren't assholes. But we weren't saints either. There was nothing clean cut really about us, but we weren't like going out and we weren't the ones causing the bulk of the problems. We just were living in that world. We were just among it. But man, my best suggestion is, like, you know, Crush said, high school, you're finding yourself. That's what we did. We were finding ourselves, figuring out who we are, what we're into, what we want to do, and why we're doing it. You know, my best advice would be to try to get good grades, do the best you can, have a goal. You know what I mean? If you like art, be an artist. If you like, you know, playing music, be a musician. If you like working on cars, you know, be a mechanic. Hey, maybe you don't like the inner workings of the car, but you like to sculpt and design cars. Then, you know, be a fabricator, man. Like, you know, build some like really fucking righteous looking fucking rides, man. All kind of stuff to get into. You know, and if you really want to show your parents a little bit more about what this is and why you're into it, show them the magazines, show them like the really cool cars and the classy looking broads, and show them videos of like these rockabilly dance contests that they have. Show them the shows. Show them that there's more to it than just, you know, them thinking you're being a delinquent, because there is more to it, especially today. I mean, we have more information on it than we ever have. So that would be my my advice on that as well.
Shit, man, it's fun about cars too, man. I mean, I'm a mechanic, but I'm not artistically inclined. I wish I knew people that were artistically inclined. Like, all I'm good for is rebuilding motors, rebuilding transmissions, doing brake jobs, suspension, the whole nine. You know, and I mean, honestly, you get paid a lot of fucking coin when you know the electric work, especially nowadays with all the cars that are coming out, all electronics. You know, shit, I was cruising around the other day and I saw a car pull up and it was just all battery electric. There was no motor in it, no nothing. And I was blown away. I'm like, dude, I can't fix that. I can't. You know, and it's definitely a good outlet. And even if you're not into cars, shit, man, build bicycles. That's what I do. On my free time, I'll get like an old beat-up Schwinn beach cruiser that I find from the junkyard, or I find out sitting on the corner, and I'll take it home, and, you know, I'll strip it down with sandpaper and whatnot, and then I'll rebuild it. And I'll take before pictures, during pictures, and then after pictures. And everybody's like, whoa, you turned something that was garbage into a work of art? And I'm like, yeah, dude, it you know, it is what it is.
My buddy Big Bird. Big Bird, you guys know Big Bird. You've seen him on the channel before. Big Bird's a mechanic himself. When he was in high school, he used to rebuild Schwinns, just like the beach cruisers, just like Crush did. He used to do that in high school. He had his garage, had pretty much every tool you could imagine. He would go to the dump, you know, or the pick-apart places. He'd find bikes, or like he just, like secondhand stores, he'd find them there. He would take these junk bikes and he would sand them. He would do body work on them. He would paint them, custom paint job, you know, new seats, new handlebars, new tires, everything. And he would do them up. And he used to make some really righteous looking bikes. I mean, they were great. They were beautiful. And he used to make a little coin on the side in high school just doing bikes out of his garage. see, what else do we got here? Oh, here we go. This is interesting. Listen, Madman, I'm in elementary school, and how do I be a grease if I'm the only one? It's very discouraging. That's a good question.
What do you say, elementary school? I was grabbing a beer. Sorry, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he said elementary. He's the only one, and it feels very discouraging for him.
You know what? That's totally normal. That's totally normal right around that age. And you know what? It's totally okay to be discouraged, but don't there's an old saying, don't be like the rest of the sheep that follow the herd. Be a black sheep, man. Be different. Because I'm telling you right now, the more you're different, the more people are going to come up to you and be like, oh, you know, why do you dress like that? You know, how do you do your hair like that? You know, what kind of clothes did you get? Well, what kind of store brand, did you get your clothes from? And they'll start asking you questions. And then, you know, you come back with answers like, oh, I got this down at, you know, so-and-so. Like perfect example. Like I'm bopping around, and I don't know if you guys can see the chain or not.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I see the chain.
I got it from a Harley Davidson shop. And somebody's like, oh, that's sweet, man. You know, where'd you get the T-shirt from? And I'm like, oh, a buddy of mine that I follow on YouTube.
Right.
I mean, so it all starts to snowball and escalate, and people are going to be like, wow, you know, that's pretty dope. You know, he's different. He's doing his own thing. Why don't we kind of like try that out? It'd be like a new trend, quote unquote.
Right, yeah.
I don't know.
You know, it is really normal to, if you're the only one doing it and you feel discouraged, yeah, it is normal. It's a very normal feeling, especially being as young as you are. I mean, there's a whole lot about the world you don't know yet, and you're not going to know it until you become old farts like us. You start to see it for what it really is. You know, I would say that being different it's a great thing, man. Like, you could be like everybody else and fucking listen to the television. It's like, oh, buy Nikes, buy Jordans, you know, fucking get Gucci this and Gucci that, and fucking, you know, wear this kind of brand, wear that kind of brand, listen to this, you know, new fucking singer, you know, whatever flavor of the week it is, you know, fucking singer comes out. You know, you can do all that. That's fine. You can try to fit in, or you can pick and choose for yourself what you like. If you dig something, then you dig it. I mean, there's really nothing more to it. If you like this kind of music, then you like that kind of music. And just because it's not the in thing to do or popular at the time, that doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean? It's fucking, who gives a shit? You know, who cares? You don't like it, you don't like it. I don't care. I like it, you know? You don't have to like it. You don't got to listen to it. But, you know, do your own thing, man. And don't be sorry for doing your own thing. Don't be sorry for being your own person. That's my best advice. And always be cool, you know, and represent the style right.
Sorry about that, man. Allergies are a bitch this year.
I hear you, man. Shit. I hear you. Okay, oh, this is an interesting one. This is an interesting one, and I'm going to go into depth on this. It says, I'm in the 8th grade, and there's a group of preps who are hitting me. Should I hit back because I've told the teachers and it didn't help, so should I hit back? I'm going to start this one off. I'm going to be real with you cats about this. Really real. I would hit back personally. Now, I know that their teachers and administrators are going to tell you don't hit back, just come tell us, but they don't do anything. They're not doing shit. Schools, especially nowadays, aren't handling nothing. And the sad thing is, man, it's like right now where we are, I think, politically as a country and how things are, it's discouraged to stand up for yourself and be who you are. And I think that's sad, and I hate that. I want you to know, though, that if you do hit back, you will probably be in trouble. And that's just unfortunately how it goes nowadays. They seem to want to punish the ones who defend themselves versus the ones who are starting the damn shit. But if your parents, you know, if they'll back you up, hopefully you have parents that say, you know, hey, somebody hits you, you hit them back. You know what I mean? Then do it. Go for it. You know, and let them know, like, you're not going to take their shit. And that's the thing, man. You can't let people fucking shit on you constantly. You have to be able to stand up for yourself, and you have to know when is the right time to do it. Not every time or every little incident deserves a violent reaction. Always try to talk your way out first. Talk, you know, our voice is our first line of communication. But if they don't understand that and it's gone past the talking stage, then you do what you got to do, man. You know, you're not sent to school to be somebody's fucking punching bag. You know, if you want to be somebody's punching bag, you go down to your local boxing gym and they can hang you from a little hook, and then the fucking boxers can fucking work you there. I mean, you know, realistically, that's what it's coming down to. You're not being sent to school to be a punching bag. And if the administrators and teachers ain't going to do anything, then do what you got to do. And when they start complaining, why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you come tell somebody? Oh, I did come tell you. It's on, you know, it's documented. You guys can go look it up. But you didn't do anything about it. So this is what you get. What do you think, Crush?
What was it? He's in 8th grade getting bullied or something?
Yeah, he's in 8th grade. He's getting hit. He's getting punched by some of these prep dudes. And he went and told administrators or teachers about it. And, you know, they haven't done anything about it. But he's still getting hit.
See, that's the thing that really fucking pisses me off, man. It really does. You know what I mean? And I mean, back when we were going in high school, if you had beef with somebody or somebody kept like teasing you or fucking with you, I mean, I beat the shit out of them. I'm not gonna lie to you, but with every action, there's always a reaction.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? Yeah, it sounded like a body just fell off, bro.
Maybe it was a mafia hit. Somebody got thrown off the roof.
Yeah, I think somebody just hit a deer.
Ooh.
Fuck, man. Oh, well. Not my fight, not my problem. But, yeah, dude, honestly, man, if they want to keep hitting you, cold cock them right in the face. Seriously. I can tell you right now, I mean, I did it when I was in high school. Perfect example. I'm in 8th grade. Literally, perfect example. I'm in 8th grade. And I got these two guys that came up to me. Preps also, man. And they cut, oh, Crush, you're a weirdo. You know, you're different. This, that, and the next thing. I'm like, dude, fuck you. I got to go to class. Like, school's out at 3 o'clock. We can go across the street into the playground and settle differences there. No. And then he ends up pushing me. And I'm like, all right, push me again. Watch what's going to happen. Pushes me again. I cold cocked him right across his jaw. And he went down. I started beating his ass. Literally beating his ass.
Yep.
And his other buddy runs away because now, you know, 2 against 1, 3 against 1, 4 against 1. I don't care. You know, you can take me all down. One of you is coming down with me. That's just how I roll.
Yeah, which one's going to the hospital with me?
Exactly, man. And then you know what? Sure as shit. Principal comes out. He tells everybody to go back to class. I get pulled in the office, calls up my mother. You know, my mother comes in and she's like, what's the issue? She's like, oh, well, you know, your son got into a fight. He cold cocked somebody in the face and he, you know, intended to beat them horribly. And she's like, first thing out of her mouth was, did he throw the first punch? Like, she looks at me and she's like, did you throw the first punch? And I'm like, no. She's like, so then what's the issue? He was just defending him. That's all it is.
Yep.
You know, that's all it was. And I ended up going home at like 12:30, so I got a half a day. It was fantastic. I come home, my mother's like, if you didn't throw the first punch, I don't understand what the issue is. You were basically just defending yourself. And I'm like, yeah, like I even told them, I'm like, listen, I want to go back to class. I don't want to deal with this right now. Yeah. They didn't listen. They pushed me once, and I even said, listen, don't do that again. And they pushed me again. And I ended up cold cocking him right in his jaw. You know, but like I said, with every action, there's always going to be a reaction, especially nowadays.
Yep.
You know, where everybody's just like, oh, I'm offended. Oh, I'm offended. Oh, good golly. It's like, dude, where are your balls? Like, do me a favor. Take your hand, put it in your pocket, and feel something else than a rat tail comb. Do us both that favor, please.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, please, take the shrink wrap off of your fucking dick and balls and actually use them. I mean, seriously. Yeah, I mean, that's like America's national pastime now, is being offended. It used to be baseball, and now it's fucking, you know, I'm offended. It's like, guess what? There's a whole planet of a whole lot of different, like, cultures, and somebody somewhere on this planet is going to be offensive to you, or you're going to find something you do or say offensive. Guess what? That's human nature. You get over it. You just learn to exist. You coexist. It's not that hard. You know what I mean? If you have to fight, you fight. If you don't, you don't. You know what I mean? It's pretty simple stuff. It's natural law. You know, natural law has been there. It's still here. It ain't going anywhere.
And also, if you are going to get into a fight, definitely think about it. Because you know what? There are some fights that I've been in that I wish I never got into. Live to see another day. You never know what's going to happen.
Yep.
And I mean, perfect example. You know, I could get some guy that's you know, beefing with me, and next thing you know, I could pull a fucking blade out on him, and then he's done. And then I got the headaches of getting possibly locked up. For what reason?
Yep.
Live to fight another day. All fights aren't worth it.
That's
and
right.
I'm a big dude. I'm like 210, 5'11", 210. I've lost more fights than I've won. I really have, honestly. I'm not ashamed of it.
Everybody, you know, hey, everybody goes through it, man. Everybody goes through that kind of shit. You know, it's like when I was in high school, I was not the toughest dude by any stretch of the imagination. I wasn't the toughest at all. If anything, all I cared about was partying and hanging out with my buddies. And unfortunately, I just lived in a really rough area, and that was just the world that I lived in. You know, I didn't do a whole lot of fighting in high school. I had little skirmishes here and there, you know, but it never really escalated to a whole, like, crazy thing. But I did get into a lot of trouble when it came to a lot of drama that did happen in school, where things did escalate. And I'm saving a lot of those stories for a big project that I'm working on right now. So you guys will get to see and hear about all of the stuff that happened. And let me tell you, it got really fucking out of hand. You know, let's put it this way. Madman's lucky that he's still alive.
Yeah, I second that, brother. I second that. After all the stupid things that I've done, oh my God.
Yep.
Damn.
Let's see.
I'll be right back, Cat. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. Do what you gotta do. Can't tell how many times I've been heartbroken. Yeah, man, that comes with territory. That's just life. You're going to deal with heartbreak probably over and over and over until you find the right person. When you do, treat them right. Definitely. Treat them right. One of the things I can say is more now than ever, you see more fucking drama, more heartbreak, more bullshit, you know, more people treating each other like fucking yesterday's garbage. And, you know, it's funny. This is the funny thing about it. Everybody says the same shit. Everybody talks about how, like, oh, it's hard to find the right person. Shit sucks. A lot of heartbreak, a lot of drama, a lot of cheating, a lot of backstabbing. And they don't like it, but yet some of those very same people that are talking about it will fucking do the same thing themselves and perpetuate the cycle. You want to stop a cycle, you've got to break it somewhere. You know, and I think if enough people start breaking that cycle, you'll start seeing a change socially. So that's a little advice on that. One thing I can definitely say is in my era, when I was doing it, there were consequences for being a greaser. And that's no joke. Well, there were consequences for doing what we wanted to do. You know, it's like there was never a day for us guys where we left our houses in the morning, go to school or wherever we were going to go. There was never a time where we weren't under attack. We didn't have like this thing in the back of your head where you're like, what's going to happen today? Am I going to get jumped today? What's the drama of the day? You know, what's going to happen? Am I going to have to fucking bolt through an alley because I got fucking 5 dudes chasing me down? You know, like, you didn't know. Like, you never knew, and it could happen. Or, like, if you did have, like, a fight or something did break out, and it'll be like, we'll get you next time. We'll get you next time. It's like, when's next time? Is that tomorrow? Is that 2 weeks from now? Is that a month from now? Is that the next, you know, couple of hours from now? Like, you never know. And it was like this whole, like, feeling of wherever you are, you always know that there's somebody probably watching you. You may have somebody following you, and you don't know that you know, you don't know that they're there, but they know you're there, and you don't know what's going to happen. And that was very common. That feeling was very, very uneasy. So you'd be walking down the street, you'd be looking over your shoulder, you'd be looking in alleyways, you'd be looking at doorways, you'd be looking in windows, you'd be looking wherever people would come and go or whatever you could see. You walk on the other side of the street, so when traffic, you're going towards traffic, so you could see who's driving past you, because it was not uncommon for cars to pull up alongside you, 4 or 5 dudes in a car, and be wanting to come after you. And that's how it was in my era. Can you still be a greaser if you don't have the many traits like to stand up for yourself? Sure. I don't see why you can't be a greaser. I mean, you always want to try to stand up for yourself, whether you're a greaser or not. Always do what you can to stand up for yourself. But it's not mandatory that you have to be some kind of fucking, you know, Billy Badass or whatever to be a greaser. That's a very big misconception. There's a lot of people that are greasers that, like, could give a shit less about gangs or fighting, or they fucking don't care. It's like if some dude walked up to them, like, there might be mechanics, you know, you got some fucking, like, car fabricator, you know, in Southern California, who's like, all he gives a shit about is just, like, you know, Ian Russell, for instance. He's a good example. Like, all the fuck he cares about is making, you know, the new rod for the year that he could take to Viva. I think if you went up to that cat and were like, oh, we're from such and such gang, he'd be like, yeah, cool. You want to buy something? Or you know, what do you want? Like, I don't fucking care. You know, like, he's not like this Billy Badass tough guy. He's an artist, you know, and he's like fucking fabricates cars. That's what he does for a living, you know. There's a lot more to the style than being, you know, this stereotypical greaser. Let's see. Any other good questions? This is your guys' time to ask actual questions from some of us older cats and get different perspectives, or see how much the same it is. One thing I noticed talking to Crush is, you know, we made it grow up literally across the country from each other, but a lot of the same stuff, you know, was very much happening at the same time. Maybe in a little bit different way, but pretty much the same stuff. All right, here we go. This is when did you first start greasing? When did you start, Crush?
I mean, heavily greasing, I started back in 2008, man. I was a sophomore in high school. And a couple of buddies of mine were like, yo, you work on cars. You're a mechanic, but you're like a punk rock kid. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you ever heard of, like, Elvis and Carl Perkins and Johnny Cash? And I'm like, I heard of them, like, their basic songs, like, you know, I Walk the Line and
yeah,
Jailhouse Rock and all that, you know. And they're like, why don't you listen to more of it in depth? You know, listen to, like, their old stuff, like Elvis 57. And Johnny Cash's old stuff when he was with Sun Records with Sam Phillips.
Right.
Sure as shit, man. I started hearing it, listening to it more and more. And then I was like, oh, you know, let me check out YouTube. Because YouTube was just starting to come up. You know, we didn't have that when we were fucking kids, man. We didn't have that when I was 10 years old. We didn't even know what YouTube was. You know? And what happened was I started listening to, like, more and more, like, old school songs. And my father comes into my room and he's like, you got Eddie Cochran on? And I'm like, yeah, man. He's like, check out these cats. He's like, check out Commander Cody, my Hot Rod Lincoln.
My Hot Rod Lincoln.
So I started listening to it, and I'm like, wow, these guys are singing about cars. They're singing about fixing up cars and chasing Bettys. That's fantastic. That's what I'm into. You know, and then little by little, I started watching how they looked and how they dressed and how they act. You know, and then one thing led to another. I started slicking my hair back. I mean, my hair looks horrible right now because I had a skid lid on when I was taking the bike out, but that's the last thing you need. Yeah, I made that mistake once and once only. I had a pompadour, and I was like, you know what? Let me take the bike out for a spin. It's beautiful out. Put my fucking helmet on.
Yeah.
The whole top falls down, man. I was like, shit, I don't have a comb. There's chicks hanging out in the bar, and I'm like, you know, but yeah, definitely around like 2007, 2008, right around there. And then it's just taken off consistently. And then when I got old enough to get tattooed, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start getting old greaser tattoos. You know what I mean? Like where is it? I got Rat Fink. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Rat Fink up there. Okay, let me fix this. There we go. Rat Fink, a pair of flaming dice, a little spider web. Of course, you got to get a pinup chick going on. You know, switch comb in the back. You know, and I mean, I loved it. And if you guys are really seriously thinking about getting tattooed, because I know you guys are, if you guys are in high school, oh, tattoos are awesome, this, that, and the next thing. Get an idea and sit on it for about 6 months to a year. Because in that time span, your taste, you know, your fucking aspects are going to completely change like that. I mean, I look back on memories of tattoos that I wanted when I was like 13, 14. I'm like, dude, I will never get that. Like, I would never put that on my body. Ever. You know. But, yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. What about you, brother?
Hell, I cover a couple points like you were talking about. Like, first, like, I started in late 2003. My 9th grade year, I was a freshman, 2003. I was kind of like just a nobody, kind of a drifter. I hung out with some of the nerd kids. I kind of knew a little bit of everybody. But, man, I first saw the Greasers, like, in real live person. And I covered this on my blog on crypticart.com. If you guys haven't checked that out, I actually wrote a blog article about how I started being a greaser and, you know, what it was like. I literally saw Greasers for the first time in person walking past me. And I was like, oh crap, these are like, I've seen guys like this in movies. I didn't know this even existed anymore. This is cool. And they stood out because they were different. I mean, everybody else, I mean, hell, it was always, you know, baggy clothes central. You know what I mean? It was like, these guys were different. You know, engineer boots, blue jeans rolled up, leather jackets, pompadours, sideburns, attitude. They walked with attitude. They walked with purpose. I was like, man, these guys are cool. And I had to be a part of it. I just had to get into it. And that's how I started. The tattoo thing. I mean, you guys know I got tattoos and shit like this. All my shit are, you know, besides the stray cat, these are custom pieces. You know what I mean? Like, this is all stuff that I drew and did. I mean, these are all custom fucking pieces. And they all have meaning to me. Now, I think what Crush said about 6 months to a year is perfect. It really, you guys do need to take some time and figure out what you want to get and why you want to get it. I personally think you should get a tattoo, not so much because it looks cool, because it means something to you. I mean, think about putting ink on your body if you're telling a story without speaking. Tattoo right here. This is what I'm famous for. This is my logo for, you know, for fuck's sake. I fucking designed the first Joker tattoo when I was 16. I was 16 when I designed it, cats. I didn't get this on until I was 19. It probably went through about, I don't know, 10 or 11 revision, you know, phases where I redid it, redid it. I mean, hell, I would even redo it now and do it a whole different way. But I mean, it's already on there and I'm not getting rid of it. It's a, you know, cryptic art original. It's one of mine, you know? And I love it. I'm proud of it. I still wear it. It's like a shield, a badge for me. Anything you guys get, man, you guys should seriously like put some time and effort into. Don't just go to a tattoo shop and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this because it looks cool. It's like, well, what does it represent to you? Like, why do you want it? Besides, it just looks cool. I mean, there's a whole lot of people nowadays where they want to go get tatted and they go to these shops and get raked over the coals and fucking like, I want that because it looks cool. And they're probably drunk as shit when they do it. I didn't drink at all. Like, one of my rules about getting tattoos is I never have a drink before I get them. And there's two reasons for that. One, you'll bleed more if you drink. Alcohol thins your blood. You will bleed like a stuck pig. Number two, if you're going to deal with it, if you're going to get a tattoo, you deserve to feel the whole force brunt of the pain. You know what I mean? Like, knuckle up and fucking get that shit done. You know what I mean? Like, don't fucking try to dull that shit. Be like, oh, I don't even fucking feel this. You know? I mean, and then, you know, there's actually a third reason too. You want to make sure that you are of sound mind. So when they're putting it on you, it's what you want. Because if you wake up the next morning and don't even quite remember that what you did the night before, and you got a new tattoo and you go, oh, fuck's sake, what the fuck did I get this shit for? You don't want to be in that position. Be like, hey, like, who the fuck said this was a good idea? You know what I mean? And then you'd be calling all your buddies, be like, hey, yeah, you were with me last night. Why the fuck did I get this tattooed? You know? Why'd you let me do that? You know?
You know what? I can't lie, man. I did get a drunk tattoo. I know I completely went against, you know, like you said, you know, getting fucking bleeding like a goddamn pig and shit. But my social distortion tattoo, I don't know if you guys ever saw it or not, but perfect example. Yeah. If you guys see it, you know what I mean? I mean, yeah, it looks great on camera, but if you really get in depth and close to it, like there's spots missing right there. He's missing the 2 smoke lines. His jaw has no teeth. You know what I mean? But it was actually a commemorative tattoo because me and a buddy of mine were talking for years. We love Social Distortion, 100%. They're one of my all-time favorite bands. And we were talking about it for a long time, and we were hanging out drinking, and we're like, you know what, man? When I go out to California, that's when we'll get it done, when I'm in a sober state of mind, this, that, and the next thing. Funny story, actually. So we ended up going to, I don't know if you guys are in New York or not, Otto's Shrunken Head. Great bar to go to. Turn 21, or if you guys are over 21, definitely check it out. It's a cool little tiki bar in the city. And we ended up going there, we're hanging out, and I go outside to grab a smoke. I honestly don't recommend you guys smoke if you don't. If you do, you know how it is. But if you don't start trying it. It's not cool. It sucks. It's a very expensive hobby, quote unquote, to obtain. It's fucking horrible. Yeah. And it's gonna kill you too. That's like the worst part about it. You know, it's like, yeah, let me just be cool. Let me be like fucking James Dean and smoke a cigarette and die in like 10 years from now. You know, don't. But we're hanging out outside, and these 2 little Betty chicks come up to us, and we start bullshitting. And we start bullshitting with them, and next thing you know, my buddy, who was in a drunken state of mind, turns around to me and is like, Crush, let's go get tattooed right now. And I'm like, all right, first of all, brother, we've been drinking, and second of all, I'm not doing it. You know, it's not worth it. And third of all, what tattoo shop is open up at 12 o'clock at night? This retard ended up finding a tattoo shop that's open till 2 in the morning. We end up swinging over there. He's like, oh, you know what? Better yet, I'll take care of it for you. Okay. So I'm literally sitting there like holding my breath because they're like looking at me like, have you guys been drinking? We're like, no. Like turning purple because they're not trying to breathe because you'll smell it on the pipe.
But they're sweating it out, and I'm sure they smell that shit.
Yeah, exactly, man. So he's like, oh, all right, you guys are good. So I hop in the chair, and I'm literally like this, getting it done. And I was like Madman said, I start sweating. The guy's like looking at me like, you smell like Jameson and Guinness and fucking Miller Lite. And I'm like, are we almost done? Like, I think this is almost finished right now. Yeah. But I bled like a fucking SOB, man. It was disgusting. And they knew it, but they were like, you know what? We're almost done. Let's just finish it up. But that's the only one drunk tattoo I have. All the other ones, I've been stone cold sober. And, I mean, shit, I got my ribs done. You know what I mean? And that was a nightmare in a handbasket.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the most painful places to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, lucky me, that was my second one, too. I was like, oh, you know what? It's bad enough. I'm going to get my ribs tattooed because I'm hot shit. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like laying there. They're like, you all right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Doing just fine. You all right? You're kind of grunting there. I just had to fart, man.
Yeah, dude, it was at a biker tattoo shop, so you can't even look like a bitch. So I'm literally laying there like, oh, fuck. And they're like, yeah, right? And I'm like, no, it just tickles. We're good.
It's just a flesh wound.
You know, and it's also it's such an exhilarating feeling, like you said. Also, if you're gonna get tattooed, do it stone cold sober. And I'm telling you right now, tattoos suck. They do. I don't care who you ask. They're gonna be like, oh no, that doesn't hurt. It does hurt.
It does. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. The whole thing it comes down to is your threshold of pain. If you have a high threshold for pain, you'll be all right. I mean, it's gonna hurt. Don't get me wrong. I mean, one of the most painful ones, and this is crazy. Like people would think like the chest one, because it kind of goes up into the collarbone area right here, right underneath my collarbone. You would think that one hurt the most. It didn't. Forearm one that I got. My buddy DeVito did all my tattoos. I mean, you guys know DeVito from the Thrillbillies. You know, he did the lines right here on the elephant, right up in here where he did the shading and stuff. When he was doing the lining work on this, and he went a little too deep on those lines, and I could feel that needle in my skin. It's almost like, imagine taking a needle that's going extremely fast and then pulling it up your arm. I could feel the skin ripping. I could feel like the skin, like the layers just going shh. And I'll tell you, man, like these lines were red. Way after it healed, they were red for months. I mean, they scarred. I mean, there's quite a bit of scarring up in this area. It hurt like a motherfucker. I was sat there on his weight bench, and I was grabbing onto his bunk bed like this, and I'm like kind of squeezing it. I'm just like, get some. It's like, fuck, you know, like, god damn. And it's almost like this weird feeling, like you can feel the tear, but you can almost hear it in your inner ear as you can almost hear this tearing of the skin. It was fucking disgusting. But, you know, here's the thing. When it comes to getting tattooed, if you got a high threshold for pain and, you know, depending on where you get your shit, you'll be fine. I mean, my first tattoo was the Joker. We did the Joker head first, then we did the banner on the top and the bottom, like the next day or whatever. And that was easy. I mean, that was no problem at all. I mean, the chest tattoo, I mean, that took, about 4 or 5 hours or so. And the only thing that I was most worried about was just how long it took. I'm just like, fuck, like, I'm kind of an antsy person. I'm full of energy. I like to go. It's like, go, 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 go. It's like, I like to have fun. I want to like move around. I don't like to just sit too still. I always like to move, very jittery. So that's one of the hardest parts for me about getting a tattoo, is actually sitting and committing to the time to do it. Okay, this is interesting. Hey, Madman, what's your thoughts on your own radio station worldwide, a talk show and a music channel on radio playing old 50s and 60s music all day? I thought about this back when I first started. I actually looked into it. The problem with this is, in order to play music, because I thought about doing it as a podcast, that'd be the easiest way for everybody around the world to be able to listen to the show and the music and the whole bit. I kind of want to do something like Wolfman Jack, you know what I mean, and have like this kind of crazy, fun type of podcast. But the problem with that is getting licensed to play the music. It's not like, we know that YouTube has copyright issues with some of the different music, most of it, and you always have to go for the non-copyrighted stuff. Podcasts and especially radio stations are even worse. I mean, you have to pay a licensing fee to play music. And I know that they have different packages out there where you can get like an all-encompassing license that covers kind of like all of the different, different music genres and the different, studios that produce them and stuff like that, the different labels. It kind of covers everything. But they're quite expensive. I mean, we're not talking chump change here. And
no, not at all.
Anybody that's going to do like music on their podcast, you could bet that either they got a hookup if they're lucky and they were able to get something going, or they paid a pretty penny for that license. It's not something that you can just easily do like that. And I do still want to do something like that, and I've been thinking more and more about it. I got a buddy who has a podcast. He does a sports and like combat sports, like mixed martial arts, and boxing. He also covers like a lot of bodybuilder entrepreneurs. He's an old gym buddy of mine. His name's Johnny Stopka. Good friend of mine. I used to work out with him back in the day. And he's got his own podcast, and it's pretty successful. And I need to get in contact with him and maybe get a little bit more of the finer points about doing that, because I'd love to maybe do a podcast, every, couple nights a week or something. That'd be kind of cool. So it's interesting you brought that up. Phantom Wolf Greaser. Hey, there's a gang of black guys who are harassing me. What should I do? Treat them like anybody else. They harass you, don't take shit. Just like we were telling you earlier. Do what you got to do. Stand up for yourself. Fight if you have to. Talk your way if you can. Don't put up with shit. But also realize that not every incident that you're going to go into is going to be a need to fight incident. So keep your head about yourself.
I'm scrolling through the comments as you guys keep going, and I actually stumbled across an interesting one. Any advice? I'm a girl, and I dressed rockabilly, but I was homeschooled for 2 years. So I'm being put into 10th grade in the middle of the year. How do I make a good first impression? I mean, honestly, I totally understand it. Just be yourself. Be yourself. Fucking rock that Rosie the Riveter mentality. You know what I mean? And don't take shit from anyone.
Yes, we can.
And, for me, honestly, perfect example. I was bopping around and I came across, I've been drinking, so you got to bear with me a second. And, there was greaser chicks, but you wouldn't have any idea that they were greaser chicks because they weren't in the poodle dress and the high top heels. They were dressed in Converse. They had a bandana around their head, and they had a work shirt on. Tough as nails. Tough as nails. I ended up becoming friends with them, but, man, they put me in my place. They really did. They're like, yo, Crush, you're an asshole. Now fix my car. Here's a monkey wrench. Okay.
Okay.
Honestly and heartily, just be yourself. Just keep doing what you're doing. And just keep on rocking, because you know what? Not everybody in this world is going to like you. That's just how it is. Not everybody in this world is going to accept the way you look and accept the way you dress. But you will find friends that are going to accept you for who you are and what you are. And honestly and heartily, especially the fact that you've been homeschooled for over 2 years now, so it's kind of weird going into high school as like that new girl. Dude, just keep doing what you're doing, man. You know what I mean? Because people are going to come up to you and be like, oh, that's very interesting the way you dress. Oh, where did you get your makeup from? Where did you get your clothes from? How do you do your hairstyles? So they'll start questioning you about that, and then you just come across like, hey, listen, I got it from this, that. I don't know any female stores. I got it from this, that, and the other place. And then they'll be like, oh, my God, do you want to go shopping? And you're like, oh, my God, absolutely. And then you just kind of hang out after school. And then you just do your own thing, and then that's how you just make friends, man. So just keep doing what you're doing, man. It's hard. It sucks in the beginning, but you know what? Greaser chicks are tough as nails, man. You got this.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, there is a difference between these pinup girls that do it just for the money so they can be on a magazine cover and actual greaser chicks. I grew up with actual greaser chicks. They're as tough as the guys. They're girls. That's the only difference. You know what I mean? And they will put you in your place. Greaser chicks understand real. They don't like bullshit. They don't like fucking, you try to come to them with a line, they're going to be like, yeah, fuck off. Or, a line straight out of, Crush's, area, take it on the arches. You know what I mean? Get out of here.
Yeah, yo, kid, go kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? You get the fuck out of here, bro. You know what I'm saying? Hey, do us both a favor. We're going to get a fucking hot dog with mustard on it. Mustard and sauerkraut, bro. And I catch it for gazy bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking take your shoes for a walk. Get the fuck out of here. Exactly. And they are. I mean, greaser chicks, they know bullshit. They know bullshit when they see it and hear it. So, they're pretty real, and they're pretty gritty and raw, but they're good people at heart. They're good chicks, There was another one I was looking at here. A question I saw I was going to answer. Let me go up a little bit here. I remember what it was. My opinions on, are greasers were they more accepted in the 50s or today? I would say they're probably a little bit more accepted today than they were in the 50s, because in the 50s they had a real negative connotation that went with them. In the 50s, they were known as hoods, rebels, troublemakers, juvenile delinquents. Nowadays, they're just more known to be different. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, they're not so much, we don't carry so much of the negative stereotypes because, I mean, there's so many different groups out there that do carry stereotypes of being hoods, you know, troublemakers and gangs and stuff like that. More now than anything, and sadly, you know, we can thank the revival era for this, like the 70s. The greaser look and the style, like the lifestyle, it's looked upon as like it is looked upon as a stereotype. They think that we all break out into song and dance, and you know that we idolize fucking Elvis Presley and Fonzie because that's all the fuck they know about it. It's just so far from the truth. Today's era greasers have different problems than the 50s era greasers. The 50s era greasers, they had problems with being accepted, just being who they were, and walking around in society being held. Cops were always harassing them guys back in the day. Even if they were a clean-cut dude who just was a greaser and liked rock and roll and liked to have fun, they were kind of lumped into the same category. Nowadays, it's more like, why do you do this? Like, you know, fucking 1955 called and they want their hairstyle back. They don't understand it. It's because they're ignorant. They don't understand. They don't get it. And they wouldn't because they're not a part of it. And they've never taken the time to learn about it. So we all kind of, like, both eras have their difficulties with being accepted. But I'd say it was probably harder back then because there was consequences to pay for it. Not as much nowadays. And even in my era, there were consequences to pay. And it didn't come from the outside society. It was within our own. You know, the actual gangs, you know, they were the ones that kind of ran everything. So being a greaser, you know, and you say you're just like a Johnny Nobody, just a greaser walking the street, and you run into, you know, a gang or whatever, they're going to question you about that. You're going to get hit up. And if they're just looking to have some fun, it might fuck you up just because they're bored and want to have some fun with you. That's how it was in my day. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit. Let's see, what are the questions we got? Have you found any other questions you want to answer?
What do I think about greaser jewelry? Greaser jewelry could be anything you want. It literally can. I mean, shit. I got rings on every single finger. Here, I'll actually do it. An iron cross right here. I got another iron cross right here. I got a Celtic, whatchamacallit, love knot right here. That's for bravery and love, and you'll find somebody. Then I got a skull right here, and then I got a Grim Reaper right here. On the other hand, I got a motorcycle ring on my thumb. I got another iron cross with a skull on it. I forget what it's called, but it's actually a Japanese demon that keeps away bad spirits. So that's pretty dope. A buddy of mine was telling me about it. Then I have a Claddagh ring, which is actually a representation of when it's like this. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. When it's like that, when the heart's facing everybody, that means that I'm single and I'm looking for love. When it's flipped around the other way, that means that I'm with somebody and I'm in love with them. And last but not least, it's just a regular pinky ring that had scorpions on it, and I thought it was dope as shit looking.
Yeah.
You know, for necklaces, you know, you can go with the standard chain necklace. You know, nothing crazy. I got a Star of David on mine because I'm Jewish, you know, so. And then bracelets, I mean, it's basically simple. This is a bike chain that a buddy of mine gave to me, and then another chain that another friend of mine gave to me. So it all depends upon what you're into and what you're interested in. I mean, I know I'm more flashier, quote unquote, than a lot of people I know. Like, perfect example, the Madman has one ring that he wears on his middle finger, and it's that 2 skulls, 3 skulls.
I can't find it either. I lost it. I've been looking all over the fuck for it. I can't find it. I actually got a couple other rings, but I don't wear them much. I have a diamond. Actually, I do have like an actual gold ring with a diamond in it, and it was given to me by my dad. And then he also gave me another one back in the day. It was just like a square gold ring, and it had like a black, some kind of a black stone in the middle of that. I do have those other 2 as well. I actually have both ears pierced, and I unfortunately busted out both earrings, and so I put like just a key ring in this ear, and I need to get something for this one as well. I actually have a couple of 80s style fucking rocker earrings, and you put it in, and it has a little chain, and it has like a cross on it, or a skull, or a spider. I have a couple of those. I just don't wear them much.
Oh, so you're like the Lost Boys, basically.
Yeah, you know, like you think of like those 80s rockers and stuff. You know what I mean? Like the metal guys from the 80s with like the little fucking little chain earring and stuff. I got those, you know, and I always dug those. I thought it was kind of cool. And then I've got, you know, my astrology necklace. Everybody's always asking me, what is that necklace? What is that necklace? What is that necklace? It's an astrology necklace. It's not a coin. It's not like a Canadian coin or anything. It's just a little, oh, man, this little astrology necklace. And, you know, I have a few rings, and I wear them from time to time. I can't find my fucking skull ring. I'm pissed off about that. I don't know where the fuck I put it. Probably got drunk, took it off, and it fell behind something. Let's see here.
What do I think of hipsters? Dude, what do I think of hipsters? I think they're a waste of space. I mean, I can keep it PG-13 or rated R, however he feels.
Hey, go for it, man. Tell them what you think about hipsters. You know, this is a real channel, man.
I mean, honestly, hipsters should have been fucking swallowed and not actually, like, given life. Because they're just scumfucks of society. They're the kind of people that make the outlaws, like my friends that I know that are in motorcycle clubs. I'm not naming any names or anything like that, but they give those guys bad names. They really do, because they're like, oh, I'm just going to get my whole arm tattooed, both my arms tattooed, my hands and my knuckles and my neck, and look like I got out of prison and be all tough guy and shit. But then I'm going to write poetry and live at Starbucks and say how much I hate my life and tweet about how the new Apple iPhone is coming out. I can't stand them for anything. Yep. Which reminds me of a fucking great story that actually happened a couple of years ago. I actually told the Madman this a couple of times, but
yeah, great story.
me and three friends of mine. We own old school hot rods. I own a 57 3100 pickup. That's lipstick cherry red. That's my all-time baby. I call her Daisy. A buddy of mine has a 77 Impala, and another buddy of mine has a 71 Buick Electra. So we're all GM guys. So we're hanging out at a local bar. And we got it parked outside, and I see this one hipster come in with like a Zombie Joe's Garage work shirt on. I'm like, all right, that's dope, man. You know what I mean? He's probably one of us cats. This guy's wearing track pants, and he's got like New Balance shoes your grandfather would wear. And he's like hanging out with three of the hottest betties I've ever seen. I mean, these chicks were in poodle dresses, and they were dressed all up, and they had their hair dolled up and everything. And I'm looking at a buddy of mine, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, yo, what should I do, man? And he's like, Crush, I'll hold your beer. Go do this. I'm like, all right, sweet. So I walk up to him. I'm like, hey, cat, how's it going, man? You know, what are you cruising in? And he's like, oh, you know, I got that old 57 pickup outside. Red flag went up, and I'm like, wow, you know what? Should I either A, beat his ass, or B, see where this goes? So I'm like, oh, sweet, man. You know, what do you got under the hood? You know, what type of transmission you working with? And, you know, all that stuff, you know, kind of like pushing his buttons almost. And he's like, oh, well, I got a 383 in it with a 5-speed transmission. And I'm like, oh, what type of wheels you got on there, man? You know, those are pretty fucking sweet looking. He's like, oh, those are R22s in the rear and R22s up front. And it's all, you know, disc brakes and whatnot. And I'm like, that's pretty cool, man, because last time I checked, and I go in my back pocket and I pull out my keys, and I'm like, I start jingling in front. I'm like, that seems to be my truck. And I was like, first of all, sweetie, it's a 57 3100 pickup with a 454 big block motor in it. I know it's not the exact same matching numbers. I don't care. With a 400 turbo tranny. You were right about the R22s in the rear with white wall tires and R18s up front. It has a rear lift suspension on it, so it gives it a nice stance with with all 4 vented rotors on each side. I was like, and don't even think about saying that the 77 Impala and the 77 Electra is yours, because you know what, brother? You see those two cats sitting over there? He's like, I'm like, yeah, those two cats own those two rides. So either A, you can get out of here, or B, you can get out of here. And he's like looking at me. He's like, I'm like, you know what? How we doing, ladies? So I talked to his girls, and I'm like, oh, do you cats want to go, do you betties want to go cruising for a real ride? And they're like, I'm like, come on, let's go. And they're like, yeah, but that's my boyfriend. I'm like, yeah, I got a pet goldfish at home. And they're like questioning me. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about things that weren't important. So are we going for a cruise? No. Yeah. Man, we just took off. But hipsters, man, I can't fucking stand them for the life of me. Bunch of scum in society, man.
All right, here's my take on hipsters. I don't fucking like hipsters. Now, when I was in high school doing my thing, there was no such thing as hipsters. We didn't have them. We didn't know what the fuck a hipster was. It wasn't even a thing at that time. Then all of a sudden, these cats start coming out with these retro tattoos and trying to wear the fucking Buddy Holly, fucking horn rim fucking glasses, going, oh, I was wearing this before it was cool. And it's like, what? Are you serious? You guys were wearing retro before it was cool? Motherfucker, who the fuck do we look like? Goddamn fucking Teletubbies or some bullshit like that? The fuck out of here, I can't stand hipsters. Like, hipsters are, they are like the cancer of fucking the rockabilly greaser style. Like, they love to copy shit from us and try to claim it for their own. And it's like, really? Really? You're going to shit on every fucking cat that has been talked shit to, abused, picked on, all this crap. You guys are going to throw all that. You guys are going to try to claim that you guys were fucking here and doing this shit. It's like, I knew who the fuck you were. Like, I had people that I knew that turned into hipsters going, I was wearing retro before it was cool. No, you weren't. You were a fucking dipshit back in the day. You weren't wearing nothing, And it's fucking stupid. It's because it's like this little trendy, fucking hip little thing to do. And you're right. It's like they want to get all tatted up, look like tough guys, go sit in fucking Starbucks and fucking blog about the new goddamn iPhone, and how fucking life sucks and, fuck this and fuck that. My life sucks. I hate this new music, or I hate these bands, or they sold out or whatever. It's like, shut the fuck up and get out of here. You know what I mean? It's like this overly pompous ass fucking pretentious cocksucker bullshit. You know what I mean? I fucking can't stand it. Like, there's a good video. You know who Henry Rollins is, right, Crush?
Oh, dude, of course, man.
Yeah.
Black flag TV party tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Tonight. We're going to have a TV party tonight. All right. We got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews. I'm about to have a nervous breakdown. My head really hurts. Exactly, dude. I love that. I love fucking Henry Rollins. That guy's crazy as shit, man. There was a video. It's on YouTube. You guys can check this out. Henry Rollins versus hipsters. Man, he's in this fucking, he's with this chick. She's from Iran. I forgot what her name is. But she was like a rebel from Iran. She wasn't a greaser. But she was like an artist, a photographer, and she took these pictures. And it went very much against the Iranian culture, and her whole family completely disowned her. She moved to America, and she became a real big thing here. And he was taking her out kind of on a date on the town, and he was showing her around the area. And they go into this hipster bar, and he was explaining what this bar was, who these people were in the bar. These are trust fund kids who are very politically active, and they're kind of anarchist in nature and things like that. And he was explaining, he's showing these different, he's showing her these CDs that they have for sale. And he's naming who these different people are. He knows all about the music. And one of these chicks in the back, they find out, oh, Henry Rollins is here. And of course, everybody calls Henry Rollins a sellout. Oh, fucking sellout, And he was explaining to this chick, he's like, yeah, I'm basically this old, sold out, washed up motherfucker, and these are these young, new, hip kids, and they don't like me very much. And then this chick in the back, or actually out in the front, because they were in the back, she goes, get in the van, man, get in the van. And if you guys know what that is, Henry Rollins wrote a book, and that was the name of it, Get in the Van. And it was a part from the book. So
he's like stood there for a second, and then he's like, his eyes got all wide, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, and he just walks right out there, man. He goes right in their face. He's like, oh, is this where the cool hip kids take on the old sold out fucking washed up narc? And he's like just throwing it like right in their faces. He's like right there, intense in their faces, and they were like, they didn't know what the fuck to do. You know what I mean? And he was just. You guys got to check that video out. It was fucking great. You know, it's like the old school era going against these like little fucking assholes. And I loved it, man. But yeah, I can't stand hipsters. None of the greasers I know like hipsters. None of them. None of them fucking like hipsters at all. They've taken all these cool things from the retro era, tried to pass it off as their own, and, you know, we can't fucking stand them. At all. No respect. Let's see. When did you first get drunk? Oh, that's a good story.
When did you first get drunk?
Oh, God. I lived up to my fucking nickname for sure when I first got drunk. I mean, like, completely fucking just shit-faced. Oh, my God. All right. It was during my gym days. Now, I'd had a little drink here and there before, nothing too major. But the night I got shit-faced, my buddy Jimmy, because I was in the gym, it was right out of high school. I just was fresh out of high school, and I didn't really know much about the world, and I had to toughen up. I hit the gym, man. I went from like 140 pounds, all fucking super skinny. I got up to like, you know, fucking 200 pounds, and I was lifting weights. I was running the streets, doing my thing. My buddy Jimmy was pretty much like a little gangster, or not little, he was a big motherfucker. He was a gangster in his own right. I mean, my friend Jimmy was like 6'3", you know, naturally. He never took steroids, never once took steroids. His arms taped out 20 inches naturally. He's a big dude, tatted up. Chest was tatted, arms were tatted, his stomach was tatted, just big old fucking boy. And, you know, I'm like fucking, you know, 18. I'm 18. He was like my age. He was like 20. Oh, I'm 28 now. He was like 27 when I met him. And all the cats that I hung out with after that were all like fucking 27, 28, 29, 30. They're all older cats. They were well established. And I was like the young boot, you know, up and coming and learning. And they take me out one night to go to the bar. And there was this place called The Hideaway on South Street. It was like right, and then there was like an In-N-Out burger right behind it. And I remember we were going, I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm fucking getting to this bar. I'm 18. They're like, dude, chill. You'll be fine. Just do what the fuck we tell you to do. They had some beers that they got from the fucking Rite Aid. Well, it was a liquor store. It wasn't a liquor store. It was like a pharmacy, but they sold like beer and like, you know, all kind of shit. You know, you could get anything at Rite Aid. They even sold fucking ice cream. It used to be Thrifties. Anyway, we go in, we get a case of beer, and we took the beers and we stuffed them down our pants. And we pulled the shirt over. And we had jackets because it was nighttime, so it was kind of cool. You could pull your hoodie over it. We walk in, go to the corner. He's like, crack your beer. Pull it out, crack the beer. Start drinking. Okay, cool. So we're drinking the beer. Everything's cool. And it's like, okay, the next thing you're going to do is when you finish this beer, you and I are going to walk up to that bar. We're going to put the fucking, you know, thing right on the bar. We're going to put the fucking can on the bar, and we're going to ask for another one. And it was a really busy night. It was like Saturday night. And there was like a ton of people in there. And I was like, well, why do we do that? Because they're not going to know if they served you or not. The fact that you have, because it's like you have to make sure that you get a fucking can or a bottle that bar will serve. Like if you know that they're serving these cans or these bottles, go up there and put one on the fucking bar, and they'll know that they served you, or at least they'll think they served you, and they're busy and they don't fucking remember if they served you or not. And they won't ask for your ID. Sure enough, he was right. I go up, I was like, let me have another one. Here you go. Then I paid for it. There you go. Cool. I'm like, oh, fucking A, this is cool as shit. And of course, my buddy Jimmy, you know, sadly he's dead now, but he knew a bunch of bartenders there as well. You know, so fuck, man, like we were getting free drinks and shit. And fucking, he's like, oh, you got to try this. You got to try that. I mean, he's throwing all this shit at me. He's like getting me all these drinks. We're drinking up, you know, and I think I had like a couple of fucking, what was it? I had some Irish car bombs. And then I had what was it? Jaeger bomb. I had a couple Jaeger bombs. I had never had this shit before. I had no idea what the fuck these drinks were. I had no idea. All I knew was beer and like a shot. Like I had no idea what any of this shit was. And I'm drinking this shit down. I'm like, yeah, man, woo. I'm fucking getting into the fucking scene. I'm just like really getting into it. And then we go to this other bar. And then I go and I get this really big fucking like glass. They had like this really huge glass, almost like a pitcher of beer. And I'm sitting there down in this shit. And then I'm riding with Jimmy, and then Jimmy is driving. Shane was in the front seat, and I'm in the back seat. And they're calling up some girls because they want to like bring some girls over to the pad and have some fun. And I'm sat back there like, you down? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm fucking down. This is good. And I'm sat back there, and I'm feeling this warm feeling coming over me. And I'm just like, ah. And I'm so relaxed, and everything, I feel like jello. And then I remember, this is where I kind of blank out a little bit. But Shane turned and he looked over the front seat at me in the back. He said, your eyes rolled in the back of your head, and it was just a fucking stream of puke all over the leather in the caddy. Just everywhere, man. It was puke everywhere. Fucking pulls over the curb. Fuck, he's fucked up. They open the door. I'm like leaning up against the door like this, fucked up. They open the door. I fall out, hit my head on the curb, and continue to again, just in the fucking thing. Now picture this. We're like 2 blocks away from Jimmy's pad. We're 2 blocks away. And they're like, okay, dude, we gotta get you out of here for a second. We gotta clean this fucking car. You're gonna have to hoof it the rest of the way home. Okay, that's fine. I can do it. You know, I'm like tough. I'm trying to like prove myself. I'll do it. I'll be there in 5 minutes. I walk, no problem, you know. Had to take my shit off or whatever, shirt and fucking flannel shirt. So I start walking. It's nighttime. It's like fucking, 12, 1 o'clock at night. I don't even remember. It was late. And I remember I'm running through the neighborhoods, and I had just had a cell phone at the time. And I kept getting lost. He was only 2 blocks down and around the corner. That's all I had to remember. 2 streets down, around the corner in the neighborhood, I'm there. His house was right on the fucking corner of the fucking thing. I spent like 2 hours running through the neighborhoods, getting lost, calling him. I'm at this intersection, this street, and this street. Fuck, dude, I don't know where I turned around or something. It's dark. I can't see nothing. And they're like trying to give me directions. And I had to call about 3 or 4 times, and I'm still lost. I mean, dude, I was carrying my shirt, my flannel. I just had a pair of shorts on, my sneakers. I was like shirtless. I'm all buffed out, tattooed up. I'm like running these streets, trying to find my way through. And I remember like on the 4th time, like Shane was trying to give me directions. And I'm like, you know what, dude? I think you're a fucking asshole, man. I think you're trying to get me fucking lost. You know what, motherfucker? When I get up to the fucking pad, I'm going to beat your fucking ass. I'm going to fucking put you on the ground. I'm going to put your head through the goddamn concrete. And I was getting pissed. And then he put Jimmy on. Jimmy's like, dude, relax. He's not trying to get you lost. Everything's fine. Just go here, turn here, and go up, and you'll be right at the house. All right. So I finally make it up to the house. Shane decided it was a good idea to get the girls out of there. So he's like, as I'm coming up the fucking walkway, I see Shane and Jimmy on the front porch, and Shane is taking the girls out. And the first thing I do is I got my shit under my arm. It's all soaked in puke. I fucking dropped it on the fucking sidewalk. Shane! I fucking screamed. Shane, you motherfucker! I told you I was coming for you, you piece of shit! And I went right for it. And Jimmy's like, whoa, 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 okay, calm down. Stop. It's okay. He's not trying to get you lost. Everything's cool. I'm like, no, let me go. And I mean, like, Jimmy's bigger than me. He's got me around the thing, and I'm like flailing back and forth. He's like, stop, come on, relax. It's okay. The girls are like, oh my God, what's wrong with this guy? He's a fucking psycho. And Shane's like, oh, Jesus, just get in the car. Just sit in the car. I'll deal with this. Jimmy's got me. He's got me kind of like bear hugged, and I'm just like, I'm just like pissed, man. I just want to go. And then Shane's like, dude, I wasn't trying to get you lost, man. Like, you're fucked up. You're drunk as fuck. You need help. Like, dude, trust me. I'm not trying to get you lost. And Jimmy's like, dude, seriously, he wasn't trying to get you lost. Everything's cool. Chill out. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, what the fuck am I doing? I'm sorry, Shane. I didn't mean it, man. I thought you were trying to fuck me over. I thought you were trying to get me scooped up by the cops out here, man. And then I proceeded to fucking throw up the rest of the shit, took a shower, went to bed, and I had a bad hangover the next day. It's a good time, though. Then I helped Jimmy clean out his car the next day, too. We got in there with I got in there with the spray bottles and the cleaner and fucking wiped everything out. It was fucking bad.
Wait, you said it was a year.
Oh, shit. I think it was like a 97, I want to say. It was like a newer model. It wasn't old school.
Oh,
it was like,
not.
I got a picture of it. I got a picture of my buddy Jimmy's car. Sadly, I have pictures from the crime scene where he killed himself in front of the police. But it was like a red Caddy. I think it was like a 97. I knew it was like a late 90s or maybe early 2000s at best. It was kind of rounded, but still boxy in some ways. So I'm thinking like later 90s. And it was like metal. It was like metal flake, like cherry metal flake red. It was really nice. Had nice hubcaps. It was all leather inside, all like beautiful leather interior. It was a nice car. It really was. And I puked in the back seat. He wasn't too happy about that, but he's like, yeah, man, like I can't blame you. It was my fault. Like you weren't used to that level of drinking yet, and I fucking kept pushing drinks on you to get you into the whole thing. And he's like, it's my fault, dude. He's like, I should have known better. But yeah, what was your first time getting drunk like Crush?
Here we go. Stories. All right, now I got to go way back. Many, many, many moons ago, I was 14 years old. And I'm hanging out with a buddy of mine who is, I guess you would call him a biker, but he wasn't a patched-in member or anything like that. He had a Black Label Society vest with all the patches on and shit. I'm hanging out with him, and he's like, yo, Crush. He's like, here, drink this. And it's a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi. So I'm thinking, okay, it's fucking Pepsi.
Right.
I start chugging it. He's like, wait. Nah, you're good, brother. You're good. Keep going. It's okay. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, shit, man. What's this Pepsi, man? What's going on? He had fucking Wild Turkey 151 in that shit, bro.
Oh, yeah.
No idea. He spilled he spilled half of the Pepsi out and fucking filled the whole bottle up with 151, man. So we're sitting there drinking and shit. And I mean, we're in the city. So he gets the bright idea of, yo, let's go to the mall. And I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's go to the mall. So I'm sitting there and I'm drinking and boozing and shit. And I'm getting fucked up. We hop on the bus and we get off at like the wrong stop. We're supposed to take it to the very last stop. It was at the mall, at Queens Center Mall. Ended up getting off at like 4 or 5 stops before that. And I get out and I fucking fall over because there was guys working on a building. So they had the scaffolds and everything. So I pull over the fucking scaffold. He picks me up. There's cops sitting right at the corner. Like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, we got to go this way, man. You know what I mean? I'm fucking stumbling, and it took us like an hour and a half to get to the mall when it should have been like a 20-minute walk. So we ended up getting there, and I'm like, dude, I need food. This, that, and nice thing. So he's like, all right. I'm like, wait, we still have more Pepsi? He's like, yeah. And he's like, we got about that much left in the bottle. I'm like, give me that shit, man. I'm like fucked up right now. Threw that down the hatch. Next thing you know, it was like I was shit-faced. Absolutely shit-faced. We go to the mall for like 20 minutes. I'm like, dude, I don't feel good, man. I feel sick. Yeah, you get like that feeling of like you're on a roller coaster ride almost. It goes up and then it drops and then it goes up again. And the fucking place was spinning and shit. And I ended up going to the bathroom, puked my fucking brains out, and ended up hopping on back of the bus. And the bus driver knew what was going on. Like, he could smell me. Like, I fucking reeked of goddamn fucking booze. Yeah. And he was like, here, give your friend a bag. So I fucking get a bag, and I'm puking in this fucking bag on the bus. And he's like, dude, I got to kick you guys off. He's like, no, we got like one more stop. You know what I mean? We're almost there. So we get to the stop, and I'm like stumbling. I don't even know how I got to his house. He ended up calling his old lady to pick me up. So I got his old lady on one arm, and then I got him on like this, and they're fucking dragging me to their house. And I ended up picking out. And like 2 hours later, I wake up, and I'm like, what happened? Why do I have such a headache? What's going on right now? They're like, he turns around. He passed away about 3-4 years ago. A good guy, man. But
Yeah.
his name was Raz. And he's like, dude, he's like, I thought you could keep up with me, man. He's like, but I guess you can't. And I'm like, dude, I'm a punk rock kid. I'm not a fucking biker. He's like, well, now you're a biker now, kiddo, drinking fucking 151 Wild Turkey. And I'm like, oh, fuck me.
I used to fucking, dude, I used to carry this shit in my flask. I used to go out to fucking parties and put it in my back pocket. I used to carry this shit out to parties all the time. Nobody wanted to touch the shit. Nobody. Like, I remember I would take the shit, I'd have it in my flask, and they're like, oh, what are you drinking on? Well, Wild Turkey. Oh, you want some? No, I don't want it. It's cool, man. It was either like Wild Turkey or Bacardi was the shit that would really get you fucked up quick. I mean, we didn't have no, like, moonshine, in Long Beach, so, like, we just had to deal with what we had. And that was, like, the hardest stuff. It was, like, fucking Wild Turkey or, like, Bacardi. That's what we had access to. I used to love drinking the Wild Turkey. I didn't start drinking that until I got more seasoned into drinking. You know what I mean? Like, it took some time to work up to. You gotta take your time.
No, to the guy wearing a fucking patched out Black Label Society vest, dude, my hat is off to you, man. That is one of my favorite bands. Zach Wild definitely tears that shit up, man. And honestly, brother, a lot of their songs I love, like SDMF, Doom Crew is one of my all-time favorite songs. And then he's got other songs that I really helped me through a lot. When I had to bury a good friend of mine about 3 months ago, Like a Bird, if you guys ever heard that song, definitely check it out. It definitely helped me out a lot. And I dedicate that song to him every single time. It comes on my phone. Angel of Mercy is another good one. In This River, Concrete Jungle, dude, all of them, man, they're fucking really good. If you guys never heard of Black Label, definitely get onto it. I know it's not greaser shit, but you know what? It's motorcycle shit, man. It's good stuff, man.
My buddy Jimmy, he died back in 2009. He died like in April of 2009. And he was like my last mentor. He was like the last guy that really taught me kind of everything I needed to know about the world in general. And you ever heard, who the Vandals are, right?
Oh, yeah, dude. Anarchy Burger, kill the government.
The fucking song, the song Pat Brown?
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, yeah.
Pat Brown, dude. Jimmy was the living version of Pat Brown. I shit you not. He was that fucking nuts.
Really?
That dude, he was known. He'd been in and out of jail quite a bit. He'd had a pretty good, like, long rap sheet. He was known for trying to run people over with his car and pulling guns and shit like that. He was a pretty crazy motherfucker. And whenever I hear Pat Brown, I always think of Jimmy. Like, I always dedicate that song to Jimmy as Pat Brown, dude. Because he was Pat Brown. Man, the cheers to fallen friends.
Yeah, amen, brother. Cheers.
Cheers. Fucking A. What about the Dropkick Murphys? I love the Dropkick Murphys. I'm fucking Irish.
Oh,
hey, here's the thing. My family is like Massachusetts Irish, Boston Irish, man. So Dropkick Murphys is in my blood.
Speaking of which, I actually got a question to ask you, brother.
Yeah.
What's your crazy? You ever see the Dropkick Murphys live?
No, I have not.
Oh my God! I was going to ask you, what's your craziest moment seeing them live?
Nope, never been to see them live. Never made it around to doing it.
Oh my God, man! Many good times seeing them live, man. Like, I think my all-time favorite story is, if anybody's from New York, you know what I'm going to be talking about when I say the Roseland Ballroom before it closed. Yeah, I'm going back to 2009, 2011. 2011, I saw them live, and I was killed with one of their tour T-shirts. And I was drinking Jameson like a fucking champ. I thought I was hot shit, this, that, and next thing. I go inside, everybody's like, oh my God, this Irish kid's in a kilt. Let me buy him a beer. Needless to say, 12 people later, I'm like 14 beers deep. plus, I don't know, a half a fucking flask of whiskey. So I'm fucked up.
Yeah.
As many of you seen them, as some people seen them live, they always do Skinhead on the MBTA as their final farewell song. So everybody gets up on stage and it's a fucking great time. I ended up going on stage. Now, you're Irish. You know the whole fucking thing about wearing a kilt.
Oh yeah. Yeah, every family has their own tart. Every family, like you can trace back like your name to your tart, your actual, like they call the tart like your actual kilt, like the actual flannel pattern that you use. Every Irish family or Scottish family has a coat of arms and they have like their own pattern.
So I ended up going up on stage, and the whole thing behind wearing a kilt is you wear nothing underneath but your shoes and socks, and that's it. Ended up flashing the entire fucking crowd. This guy, oh yeah, dude, fucking kilt up and everything. One of the security guys that was working down looks up, gets grossed out, grabs my arm, and fucking throws me out, man.
Oh,
like, they're holding my kilt as he's like pushing me out, and half my fucking kilt drops. So my ass cheek is hanging out in front of everybody, man, dude. I was done. Like, you know what? Put a fork in me. I'm done, man.
Fuck, man. Oh shit. Yeah, man. One of the things I always liked with like Dropkick Murphys, they do their outro, but they always do like their cadence to arms type of thing, man. Like very like old school traditional. Love that. Love it. Yeah, man. The thing I always liked about Dropkick Murphys is like they would do like their punk rock stuff, like their hard punk stuff, but they would also do like a lot of the bagpipes. Like they would do like almost kind of like old country style, but mixed in with the rock. And I always thought that was like just badass as fuck. I first learned about them from my buddy Keith, in high school. He was a buddy of mine. He wasn't a greaser or a punker or anything like that, but he was Irish like me. He's like, oh dude, you gotta check these guys out. They're a punk group. I'm like, well, I'm a greaser. Like I'm not really a punk. He's like, just check them out, dude. You'll dig them. Fucking he let me have the CD. He let me have the CD. This is back in the days when you took a CD home and you put it in your computer and would burn the fucker and then give them back the original copy, and you had a copy of the CD. And I put it in my CD player, and I'm like, oh shit, I like this. Like I like them bagpipes, man. Like shit, I've never heard this kind of stuff before. This is different. You know, like they were doing like even more hardcore stuff than like Flogging Molly's was doing, man. I was like, oh god, these guys are hardcore. I love these fuckers. Ever since then.
I got one. What is your favorite song of theirs? The Murphys, like Dropkick Murphys. What's your favorite song?
My favorite song? I'm trying to think here. I like Shipping Up to Boston because, you know, I got, my family originally is from there. I was born and raised in California, but Shipping Up to Boston I really like. I also dig The Fighter because of, like, Mickey Ward. You know what I mean? Like, he was, like, the last, like, working class hero. I really, really dig Mickey Ward, The Fighter. No, Warrior's Code. It was Warrior's Code.
Yeah.
Yeah, Warrior's Code about Mickey Ward. I mean, dude, he was like the last of like that old school, like Boston Irish boxer. I mean, the cool thing about Mickey Ward was the fact that, like, you know, you could be sitting there at the pub and drinking with the boys, and you could be watching him box. You know what I mean? And then, like, fucking, you know, like an hour and a half later, he'd be coming into the fucking same pub that you might be at and be sitting down at the bar having a beer with you. You know what I mean? Like, Mickey Ward was, I mean, he was just a badass boxer. He's tough. Old school, tough Irish boxer, man. You gotta love it. He was like the last working class hero. Spicy McHaggis was funny. And I like Dirty Glass. Dirty Glass was really good, man. I liked it because they had like the little duet between the guy and the girl. It's like, you know what I mean? Like they both had like their own attitude about each other. You know what I mean? I love that one. The Dirty Glass. That was good.
Dude, that song "Kiss Me, I'm Shit-Faced" is like my anthem beyond belief.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I came across as this big burly dude. Next thing you know, I'm like, nah, fuck it. Who am I kidding? I'm a cheat and a liar. No fucking woman's desire. I'll probably die cold and alone. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Doing greaser shit.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I always like the part where he's like, I can bench press a car. I'm an ex-football star. I've got degrees from both Harvard and Yale. Dude, the part where he goes, and I've had far better sex while in jail. It's like, it's fucking brutal, dude.
Oh, man, he must have bet my buddy Big Shug.
Yeah, fucking Bubba's, yeah. Oh, my God. Those, man, Murphys are great. Whenever I'm out, like, partying and having a good time, I always want to hear some Dropkick Murphys. Let's see here. What else we got? Conor McGregor. Yeah, Conor McGregor's a pretty damn good fighter. I love Conor McGregor. He's pretty tough. Let's see. Favorite alcoholic drink? Favorite alcoholic drink? Let's see. When I was younger, I mean, nowadays I pretty much stay away from liquor. I kind of just stick with beer. As I get older, I don't really have too much of a taste for liquor anymore. When it comes to the drink, I remember one of the ones I got kind of hooked on for a while was my buddy Skinny David. You know, from the Thrillbillies, Skinny David, we call him High Cuffs. That was his nickname. But he was the one that introduced me to the Adioses. Adios, motherfucker. You ever had one of those, Crush?
What's up?
You ever had the drink Adios? Adios, motherfucker?
No.
I don't even remember what the fuck's in it, but it was my buddy High Cuffs who got me into that. He's like, oh, you got to try one of these. You got to try one of these. Adios, motherfucker. They creep up on you. And then all of a sudden you just realize, adios, you're done. Like, you're out. I always liked those. Those were pretty good. When it came to, like, alcohols, I was never too picky. I mean, I like tequila. I like vodka. I like whiskey. I like bourbon. I like rum. I especially like spiced rum. I'd say one of my favorite when it comes to rum, my favorite spiced rum is Sailor Jerry. Not just because of the taste, but even because, like, Sailor Jerry was an old school tattoo artist. And if you peel off the label of the fucking bottle, there's like a little fucking little tattoo, like a little fucking water tattoo on the thing.
You know what? I got a bottle of Sailor Jerry floating around. Let me go grab it right now. Show these kids what it's about.
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, I could pretty much get on with anything. There was really never any kind of alcohol I couldn't drink. I would drink just about anything that was put in front of me. But nowadays, I pretty much just stick with beer. I might do a shot of something every once in a while, so to be like, oh yeah, let me get a Pabst and, you know, some fucking wild turkey if you got it. I mean, I stick to really the basic stuff. I'm not like a fancy fucking, yeah, you know, hey there, chief, let me get top shelf. I don't do that kind of crap. None. I'm pretty just basic and simple. I don't fart above my ass. Buddy Holly or Gary Busey. Well, it's interesting. I'll give you guys a little interesting backside on Gary Busey. Before Gary Busey became an actor, now I think everybody that knows about the Buddy Holly story know that Gary Busey played Buddy Holly, and he actually did his own singing and playing in that movie, and it was very convincing. Before Buddy Holly became an actor, I mean, not Buddy Holly, before Gary Busey became an actor, he was a musician. He was in a rock and roll band. So it was like a perfect fit for him. They just put the outfit on him with the glasses and the hair, and it was really him playing. And if you want to check something out, you need to check out a clip from the old Arsenio Hall show. It was Arsenio Hall's talk show. And Gary Busey was on stage in the interview with him with Buddy Holly's guitar. And he was playing Maybe Baby on stage, singing. And I mean, what you saw in the movie, you know, the Buddy Holly story, was Gary Busey really singing and playing because he was a rock and roller in a band before he ever became an actor. So check that out. I think that he did a phenomenal job playing Buddy Holly. I mean, he sounded a lot like him. He looked a lot like him. You know, I thought it was great. It was great.
All right, I'm back, man. So this is what Sailor Jerry looks like, kids.
Yep.
That's it. It's an old school Hawaiian pinup chick on a bottle. And what the Madman was talking about was you can actually see Norman Collins himself, Norman Sailor Jerry, to be exact, doing his thing. And you can kind of see the little pinup label on the back.
Yep, I see it.
That's what he was talking about. It's where is it? It's 92 proof. 92 proof. And my God, is it good shit. Cheers, brother.
Cheers. Hey, Crush, carry the show for a moment. I gotta fucking take a wicked piss.
Yeah, dude, do your thing, man.
I'll be right back. Carry the show, man.
Whew. All right. So what do we got? Johnny Cash or Elvis? Which do you think is better? That's definitely an interesting question because they both come out of the same time period. Elvis was actually working for Crown Electric right before he got famous. And what happened was he came into Sam Phillips' studio, which is called Sun Record, over in Memphis, Tennessee, to actually make a record for his mother because he wanted to write a couple of songs for her birthday. And next thing you know, months go by, and Sam Phillips himself actually called up Elvis and is like, listen, I want you to come down to the studio. You have the right voice that'll definitely help this band that I have in right now. Now, while this was all taking place, Johnny Cash was overseas in the Air Force. He was originally an Air Force military guy. And he was stationed in Germany when he first saw the guitar, and he wanted to play it because growing up, his mother used to sing to him all the time. So he used to get the melody, and he was really influential on music and all that stuff. And as that's going on overseas, Elvis is playing songs with this new band. Now, later down the road, his manager, the Colonel Tom Parker, comes into play. Colonel Tom Parker was a very interesting character. He was invested with, I want to say, Hank Snow, which was, for that time, the original country twang, almost like a Hank Williams, but he was a younger version. And what he did was he played the upcoming songs like Jailhouse, In the Jailhouse Now, and all that. And the women loved him because he was young and quote unquote gorgeous and all that stuff. And then Elvis played, and Elvis was different. He was 19, 20 years old, still wet between the ears, playing what's now known as rock and roll. Nobody had any idea what that was, and the women would go eccentric for him. They would scream and yell, "Oh my God, it's Elvis!" You know, and Hank Snow ended up kind of drifting off to the side as like a nobody. He was just like the mainstream country boy. And Elvis was coming up, and Colonel Tom Parker saw that, and he took advantage of it. He hopped right onto it. And he brought up Elvis. And, of course, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you and be like, yeah, the Colonel was the best manager ever, because on the side, he would definitely do interesting things. Like he would say, yeah, you know, you're going to make this money and that money if you do these shows. And then needless to say, to sell more tickets, he would actually give a little guy that would be like a paper boy selling newspapers on the streets. He'd give him like 25 cents and be like, listen, sell all these tickets. Promote the name Elvis Presley. Promote him. And he would make money off of that, and then he would cut Elvis a quarter of what he was making. So in the end, it was all profits. But Elvis always thought that, wow, you know, the Colonel's my greatest manager. He brought me up from when I was wet between the ears, you know, back from 57 all the way to 77. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a big Elvis fan. I love him. I'm actually working on getting a back piece tattoo of him. But up to I want to say 67 to when he died eventually in 1977. It wasn't my cup of tea. He started growing out the big bushy sideburns. He started going back to what he was used to growing up, which was gospel. And a lot of people think when they think of Elvis, especially if you go to Vegas, and I mean, I know the Madman lives out west, so he's seen, Las Vegas, Nevada. You always got the
Vegas, yep.
Elvis with the big sideburns and the aviator glasses.
Yep.
But when I think of Elvis, I think of the old school 1955, 1957, clean cut, pompadour, slick back, average Joe looking cat.
Yep.
But Johnny Cash, on the other hand, he also had that real raw American outlaw country perspective to him. It's definitely a hard one. It's like choosing Coke or Pepsi. It's just whatever your flavor is. Me personally, I'm for both, but a lot of people would say elsewhere.
What was the question?
Johnny Cash or Elvis? Which do you think is better?
Okay, yeah. I'll just touch on a few things that Crush touched on, like Colonel Tom Parker. Colonel Tom Parker owned Elvis. He fucking owned his whole career. I mean, Elvis couldn't shit without him knowing about it, pretty much. Elvis always wanted to be in movies, and he actually wanted to be like a proper actor. He wanted to be a great actor. And Tom Parker was like, yeah, we'll get you into movies. Like, yeah, no problem. We'll get you some films. But he did all those cheesy fucking films that was always about promoting his rock and roll, promoting his music. Like, he was never really given the chance to do anything where you could say, wow, Elvis is an amazing actor. It's like they never gave him any real serious top talent. They always wanted him around a bunch of girls. To always keep the hype going, to keep the, like this whole facade of Elvis as the American heartthrob and every girl in the world will fall at his knees kind of a thing. It's sad. I mean, Elvis made a ton of money. Sadly, he was worth more dead than he was alive. And his career was never quite his own because of the Colonel. I mean, the Colonel was an amazing promoter. Even more so than than Fabian Forte. I don't know if any of you guys know who Fabian is. Fabian was literally picked off the street by a manager who created a fake idol. I mean, Fabian wasn't even interested in being an idol. I mean, Elvis was in the army at this point. Fabian came along. He just had the look. They gave him singing lessons. He wasn't really even interested in doing it. He just knew all he could do is he could make some money doing it. I mean, his early, really hyped up career fizzled out early. Colonel Tom Parker, I think, was one of the masters at manipulation of the media. It's like what Crush said about him going to the newspapers and be like, yeah, promote this guy, promote this guy, promote this guy. It's like, that's really how it's done. You just have to know how to play the fucking circuit, and you just have to know how to promote. And I think that's, Elvis definitely had the look. I think Elvis was a great singer. He was an okay guitar player. And, people just fell in love with what he was doing. And he always, if you notice, throughout Elvis's career, he started with the rockabilly stuff in, the early to mid 50s. And then he moved on from rockabilly to rock and roll. And then he kind of went into more the 60s style rock and roll into the 70s. And then by the 70s, he was doing gospel. And you had bushy sideburn, fucking long hair, fat gut, fucking jumpsuit Elvis, doing karate on stage and rambling on about this, that, and the other because he was so fucked up on his own drugs that he was mixing and making. He was always making his own cocktail of drugs. It was sad. Now with Johnny Cash was interesting. Some of Johnny Cash's early stuff was very country. And then not country, but more like rockabilly. I would kind of consider Stripes, Stripes on My Shoulders. I kind of consider that more of a rockabilly song, more than anything else. It really had that rockabilly feel to it. But Johnny Cash was always more synonymous with old country, especially June Carter. June Carter, she was country. You know what I mean? So Johnny Cash, he had his own unique style going. He had his own unique voice, his own way of playing guitar. And he had a great band, just like Elvis did, that was backing him. And I mean, even Johnny Cash, Johnny Cash really went off the rails. I mean, he was, there was rampant drug use, and he was always cleaning up and then coming back and then getting on the drugs and then cleaning up and coming back. I mean, he was never really fully sober, which is sad. But he had a hell of a career. And his last song that he did, do you remember his last song, Crush, that Johnny Cash did?
It was actually a couple.
Was Hurt.
Hurt, yeah. Hurt's a very depressing song. It's basically about his life and reflecting on it.
I know, dude. I remember it was like 2008, I want to say. And I heard it. I think it was like 2008, and I heard it on the radio. I was like, yeah, Johnny Cash's song, Hurt. I listened to that, dude, man. I started fucking crying. It was terrible. I hated it, but I loved it. It was genius. But goddamn, like, at the time, because I knew all about Johnny Cash, and I knew, like, the stuff he went through. And it was like, when you listen to him sing Hurt, man, like, you're listening to a dead man talking. Like, he knows he's dying. He knows that this is the end of the road for him. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere else. It was fucking sad.
So there's actually two questions on the same comment. This one's for you, brother. Madman, When did you first get into drawing? And Crush, when did you first get into cars? Take it away, brother.
All right. I've been drawing ever since I was old enough to hold a pen, a pencil, a crayon. Back in the day, my mom, she worked for, at the time, it was called Viking Office Products. It later got bought out by Office Depot. I'm sure anybody here in the U.S. knows about Office Depot. So then it was Viking Office Depot, and then it became just Office Depot. And she worked in the call center, and she always had access to like the newest markers, the newest pens, pencils, all this like space age shit that was just coming out. She could always test, this test stuff. Like I'm sure you guys remember like when liquid lead became a thing. Like these liquid lead, pencils, whatever you want to call them. So ever since I was a kid, I had access to like all kinds of like art supplies. My mom used to do a little bit of art herself, and I really just got into it. And I started drawing ever since. I mean, I was pretty much a toddler, and I was like drawing, playing around with stuff. And I didn't really start taking my art seriously until I got into high school. I mean, my first paid gig was I was 16. And I got a paying gig from JPL. If you guys don't know what JPL is, it's Jet Propulsion Laboratories. I knew a guy in there, and he needed some artwork done for a safety program. I ended up doing it. I made about $500 doing it, all in all. It was great. So I started taking my art seriously probably in like my 10th grade year, I'd say. But I've been drawing ever since I was like 4.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I got into cars, into cars when I was 8 years old. I remember all my friends were flipping through like Marvel and DC comics and all that, and I was like, no, that's cool, but I want something more ballsy, you know what I mean? And I remember my old man came home one day from the magazine shop, and he put a Rod's magazine on the table. And 8 years old, you don't know better. So I literally kind of put my hand up and I swiped it down real quick so he wouldn't see it. And I just started flicking it through it like it's a fucking Playboy. I ended up seeing guys that had 32 Roadsters, 42 Fords, 55 Bel Airs, 57 Chevys. The list just goes on. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And 8 years old, your just imagination just goes wild. You see these cats that are cruising around in like some classic cars, like you'll see out of like American Graffiti with John Miller doping around in a 32 Ford. And then you got other guys like Harrison Ford that were in a 55 Bel Air. Still classic. And then I turn a couple of more pages and you see guys that have rat rods, and I was like, whoa, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, it's an old school hot rod, but it's tricked out beyond belief. It's got a front grille that's custom made with like a spiderweb design. The top is definitely chopped down lower. It's got a suicide shifter up here, or sometimes out the door panel on the side. Crazy designs, and it looks like shit. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I want to do something like this. And as I got older and older and older, I used to always tell my old man, listen, if you go into the magazine shop, if you go into the corner store, pick up a Hot Rods magazine or Rat Rod Deluxe or whatever it is, you know, I want to check it out. And then when I was old enough to start working, when I was 15, 16, I got my working papers. I started working at the local junkyard. So I was working over there, making some money, and then I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to get my first hot rod. I'm 16 years old. And all my friends, oh, you know, get like a Honda Civic, you know, like a 2002, you know, something to beat around in. And I'm like, no, man, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to build something of my own. Like, that's just what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then sure as shit, 2 or 3 years later, they kept busting my balls. They're like, oh, that car's a hunk of junk. Oh, it's a piece of shit. Oh, it's a paperweight. This, that, and the other. Fucking 3 years later, I put the key in the ignition and I turn it over and it starts right up, man. And I remember pulling up to their house, and it was a Rat Rod truck at the time. I actually got a photo of it somewhere over the rainbow. And they ended up looking at it, and they were like, wow, that's fucking dope, man. You know, and just ever since then, I was always into cars. I just, you know, cars, motorcycles, bicycles, anything that had wheels on it and that was old school to shit and that nobody was into, I was definitely into. I absolutely loved it. You know, it's going to take me a while to pull up a photo because of Facebook, but just give me 1 minute. Bear with me.
Hey, look, don't go busting my balls, Billy. Yeah, that's from what the fuck? Goodfellas. Don't go busting my balls, Billy. Now go home and get your fucking shine box. My fucking shine box, you motherfucker, you fake old fucking tough guy. Keep me here. Keep me here. Yeah, you fucking feel strong. Come on. I used to fuck kids like that in the ass in the can I did. Yeah, I used to fuck them in the ass.
Oh, shit.
Hey, you know, did you find out that the guy that played Billy Bats actually recently died?
Yeah, 2 days ago, man. I was bummed out.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
You know, I was reading the fucking article, and like anything, whether it's like Goodfellas or like Casino, or of course, you know, The Sopranos, because he was in all of those, of course. Every time you look in the comments on YouTube, you always see somebody putting something about a shine box, and then when the fucker died, you see in the comments somebody wrote, "He's going to that big shine box in the sky." I fucking just lost it.
Yeah, I actually found an old photo of my pickup truck.
Yeah, show it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see it or not. Yeah, let me fucking try to filter it. There we go. Can you guys see it? Yeah, sweet, man. That was my ride. That's what I was cruising in, man. I absolutely fucking love that thing, but you know, I got older and dumber and stupider, and you know. Sorry, man. Facebook, oh my god, full of hot chicks. Full of hot chicks.
You still scouting around for a Betty?
What's up?
You still scouting around for a Betty?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. I'm always, man. Always, 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 always.
I hear you, man. Luckily I found mine, so I ain't scouting around no more.
Logan Jones, thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man. That was my all-time cruise. That was my quote-unquote scream machine, and I absolutely loved bopping around in it. But I was young and stupid, and I couldn't afford my tool loan that I took out. I took about a $25,000 Snap-on tool loan because I was 19, 20 years old. I was like, oh, fuck it, man. I graduated automotive school. I got this. You know what I mean? Needless to say, I ended up getting fired 3 months afterwards. Merry Christmas to me. 2 days before Christmas, I get fucking pinned. So I had to sell my truck to pay for my tools. And I ended up, the irony of it was I had to sell my tools just to make money back over, just to survive for like 4 months. It sucked, man.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It ain't easy. Yes, she is. My girl is a greaser. She's a proper grease chick. Wouldn't accept anything else. Would, you know what I mean? Like, shit, gotta be a grease chick. Let's see what other questions we got here.
That's tasty.
Oh, hell yeah. I taste the tacos I had earlier. Great. Fucking love it. You know, that's the thing you got to love about when you just have something to eat and you're drinking, you let a good burp, man, you taste everything you had all over again. It just tastes the same. Great. Where can you find a greaser girl? Now, that's an interesting question. You know, honestly, I don't think there's a whole lot of greaser chicks, like legitimate greaser chicks around. They're kind of like, it's real spotty. You got a lot of girls that are kind of into the scene, but they're not really proper grease chicks. Like, they don't really live the lifestyle. You know, you can go to car shows and you probably find, you know, a few of them there. But sadly, I think nowadays, especially, you got a lot of chicks that walk around. They want to go to a car show. They want to dress up retro, but they're not really like grease chicks. Like, I was lucky in the sense in high school, the girls that hung out with the greasers were grease chicks. They weren't pinups. I mean, they weren't all done up with fucking makeup that was put on with a spatula. You know what I mean? Like, minimal makeup. You know, their hair was, you know, up in a ponytail, pomped up, or they had Betty Bangs. They usually wore, like, you know, the jean, like the pedal pusher jeans, rolled up, you know, just right below the knee. They wore like flats or chucks. You know, they had some kind of like cute little top on or whatever showed off the boobs. Had a rag in their hair, and you know, they were just like, just tough chicks. You know, they wore leather, they wore engineer boots. Like, if they wore full length jeans, they wear like the high engineer boots up to the knees. And you know, there is a difference, like I've said in, you know, some of my other videos. There's a difference between like these pinup girls and like a proper grease chick. Now, some of the pinup girls in the magazine are proper, you know, grease chicks. They really are. They're proper full-on pinups. Like, they actually live the style. They're into it. A lot of them, it's a job. It's like, oh, hey, let me put on something cute and take a picture and get on some, you know, some magazine's cover. But how can you meet grease chicks? Start off at shows, man. Whether it's backyard show or it's like a, you know, like a regular, like, you know, more mainstream show with like a bigger band. You can probably start off at shows and you'll meet grease chicks there, legitimate grease chicks. And then you can go into like the car shows and stuff like that. Try not to pay too much attention to the ones that are all super dolled up and they're looking for attention. Those are the ones that are usually more on the fake side. Look for like the girls that are actually like hanging out with like the mechanics and like the car fabricators. The ones that are like a little bit dressed down, they look a little grittier. They got tattoos, they got the jeans, boots, tags in their hair. Those are typically your grease chicks. The ones that are like a little bit dressed down, they look a little gritty.
So this one goes out to the greaser kid. What brand leather jackets do you prefer, Crush? I mean, me personally, dude, I'd rather go for a Harley Davidson jacket. It's going to be very pricey. I'm telling you right now, it's going to run you easy $200-300 easily.
Mm-hmm.
But because I ride a majority of the time, especially during the summertime, from June all the way to maybe September, early October, I definitely want to get something that's going to keep me warm. And my whole philosophy is I dress for the ride. I dress for the slide, not the ride. You know what I mean? So God willing, knock on wood, you know, if I ever have to go down on my bike, at least I know a Harley jacket's going to keep, you know, me intact and it's not going to give me road rash shit. But That's one of my preferred jackets. I actually have one floating around right now. I'll be right back. Let me go grab it real quick. I'm gonna go dig it up in the fucking archive.
I'll grab some of mine too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, let me grab my actual Harley jacket. I do have a Harley jacket. I'll grab some of mine too. Yeah, man. My actual Harley jacket. I do have a Harley All right, start this off. Right here is my Harley jacket, right here. All right, start this off. This one is my very first. It's been with me for a long time. It's got the nice cushion lumbar support. It's got a lot of nice padding on the inside. I've painted it up. You guys seen this in one of my videos. This one, unfortunately, is not very traditional because it's more of a new school jacket. It's for actually motorcycles. And it doesn't have like the traditional, collar on it. It doesn't have like the big collar with the buttons and the snaps and everything. It doesn't have, the flaps and snaps on the shoulder pads or anything like that. But it does have, like the belt and everything like that. But this is my actual Harley jacket. Snaps on the shoulder pads and everything like that. But it does have, like the belt and everything like that. This is my actual Harley jacket. Snaps on it. Yeah. But it does have, everything like that. All right, let's see what Crush is digging up out of the archives. This is what Crush is digging up out of the archives. This is what Crush is digging up out of the archives. Did you get it yet?
Well, you guys are gonna laugh at me. If you ever meet a girl and you hang out with her and she asks to go for a ride, don't do it. I ended up going to her house earlier today, dropped my fucking jacket off at her house, ended up doing greaser shit. Totally forgot it over there, and now I don't fucking I can't find it.
Oh, man.
Dude, I'm pissed.
Right into the fucking balls. Oh.
Yeah, dude. But I have a couple of mechanic jackets. If you guys, are like, oh, leather jackets are cool, but I can't afford it and whatnot because it's too much coin, check into Lucky 13. Lucky 13 is an old greaser clothing line, and they make awesome fucking jackets. They really do. I have two of them. One of them is in the Jeep, but I do have another one right here.
I used to have the old Lucky 13 belt buckle. It was black. It was made of like pop metal. It was like black. It had the paint on it, and it had like Lucky 13 on it. I remember that.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite Lucky 13 jackets. You can actually see it. It says Lucky 13.
Yep.
It's a little like bomb on the side with the 13 logo. And then if you go to the back, it's got an old school hot rod on it. This jacket is a lot thicker, so I tend to wear it when it's freezing cold out. as opposed to my other one, which is not lined as much. So it's more like if it's chilly outside on like a September day, I'll throw it on and I'll zip it up and I'll pop the collar up and shit.
Yep.
But, you know, definitely Lucky 13 because I mean I got that jacket that you saw right now, Cats, for like $80. You know what I mean? $80 as opposed to $200.
Yep. You just have to shop around.
Yeah. And honestly, the Madman is actually helping you guys on sweet fucking deals. Because I would watch some of his videos about like boots and whatnot. And I actually went out to Amazon and I was like, oh, sweet, man. I don't need a pair of boots. I got a pair of Harley boots that I wear, you know, religiously. But I can always use another shirt or another jacket or something. And it's just accumulating. I'm actually waiting in the mail right now for one of the regular mechanic jackets that he was showing you guys on before.
Oh, the Dickie jacket.
The Dickie one. I'm actually waiting for the mail right now.
Yeah, that's what we wore, man. Like we all wore the Dickie jackets, either the lined or the unlined. That's exactly what we wore back in those days. I mean, you know, Dickies are, you know, an American work brand. They've been around forever, and you know, all greasers pretty much wore Dickie with the pants, the jackets, the shirts, like the mechanic shirts. You know, everybody wore those. I'm going to show some of you cats. I mean, most of you know about my other jackets, but I'm going to go ahead and put those on as well and show those off a little bit because they're always asking about it anyway. So fuck it, why not? So we put the Harley.
Big Cat, that is a sweet logo. I just saw it right now.
And then we'll go ahead and put on. This is what I actually saved up for when I was in high school, is to get the proper, you know, actual motorcycle jacket. And I did do a lot more painting on it, so I put the 8-ball with the flames on it, and then of course it says, you know, Rebel on the back, and it's cryptic art, has the scorpion. I put the studs and stuff in it, did all that myself. And then one of the jackets I wear the most is a little bit lighter weight, and I got this when I was in high school. I went to this place that was called the Purple Heart Store. It was a used clothes place. There was a bomber jacket. I got it for like $20. It was a little big on me back in the day, but fits perfect now. And this is what I kind of wear the most. And then I put this, I put one of my greaser skulls on it. It says a Rebel. And it's got like, you know, the shamrock, and it's got the knife and the 8-ball on it. And of course I got the the cryptic art devil on the back of it. You know, always got to be represented and sporting. Always got to. Yeah, so those are some of my jackets that I wear, and most of you guys have seen those. You guys follow my Instagram. You saw the new work that I put on them, all the new artwork and stuff. And always changing shit up.
Damn, I'm running out of beer. I got like 2 left, man.
Shit, dude, I got 1 left right now. You get the 16 ounces?
Yeah, man. Wait, where is it?
Yeah. You get the 16 ounces? Yeah, man. Shit, I'm thinking by the end of the night I'm going to have to go for another beer run.
Oh, man, I got like 20 Miller Lights stuck in my mini fridge, so all I got to do is just literally hop up, take like 3 steps, and grab a couple.
Yeah. Sure, I just got this. I went and got tacos tonight before I started the live stream. I get something to eat, need a beer and smokes. I'm gonna have to make another run soon enough. I just got this. It's way too early in the night for me to only have 1 beer left.
Yeah, man.
It's way too early in the night. Let's see here. What else do we got? Can you use gel instead of pomade for a short Marlon Brando hairstyle since it's summer? Yeah, sure. You know, some greasers actually do use gel. I mean, I always use pomade grease, you know, I always use the old school stuff. But you know, I experimented with gel and hairspray back in the day as well. I mean, you know, during the summer especially, you know, because like the pomade will melt and all that kind of shit. So, hey, you know, experiment around, see what works for you. It's not mandatory that you wear grease. I think you kind of should ultimately, but you know, it's not mandatory. That's just my own personal preference. Don't let my personal preference discourage you from trying new things and seeing what works, you know. All right. Well, we've been on for a few hours now, a couple hours.
Have we really?
Yeah, we've been on for about a couple hours.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start signing off. We only got 17 viewers left. You know, we had like up to, I think, almost 40 at one time. So, and a lot of people look like they're kind of getting tired. They're dropping off. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the live stream. So hopefully we're able to get to as many questions that you guys had, able to give you some solid information. You know, West Coast, East Coast greasers meet. You know, we're about the same age. We're of the same era. So, you know, hopefully was able to give you some kind of insight to what it was like and, you know, being adults and giving you guys, some of you younger cats, some good advice. So if there's anything you want to leave off with, Crush, man, go ahead, man.
I mean, honestly, cats, if you're feeling down in the dumps, you don't feel like, you know, people are giving you like dirty looks and this, that, and the other, just brush them off, man. Shit. You know, we're greasers. We fucking slick our hair back. Let that shit roll off your head, man. You know what I mean? Don't let anything, you know, stand in the way of you. Don't let anything bother you. You know what I mean? Just shake that shit off. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just stay real and positive and keep on rocking. Because you know what? I did the same thing through high school. The Madman did the same thing through high school. We've all been there. We've all gone through it. It's all going to work out in the end. I absolutely promise you. And once you graduate high school, when you come into the real world, you'll actually meet more people that are greasers or that are trying to be greasers. And don't look at them as posers. I mean, yes, some of them are going to be fucking hipsters and go with the style of that time. But other ones that are going to be like, no, I really want to learn like what it's about. Teach them. Don't fucking point and laugh. Be like, ha, 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 you guys are fucking losers. You guys are hipsters, yuppies, yada, yada, yada. No, dude, take them under your wing, man. Show them the way. Because we were all that age one time. We were all those people one time that wanted to know more and more and more. And just show them the ropes, man. And stay true to yourself. Stay fucking true to yourself, man. You know what I mean? I'm 25. I don't give it two shits on a jackrabbit's ass what people think of me. Because at the end of the day, I put my head right on that pillow and I go to bed and I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I'm happy with myself. I'm doing greaser shit, as the Madman would say. At the end of the day, I don't care. You know? But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. I truly, really appreciate the Madman having on for our live stream. Fucking live fast, die young, leave a beautiful corpse, and stay greasy, kids.
Yeah.
You guys, man.
Yeah, you know, man, anytime, dude. Always love having you. I love chatting with you. You know, we've been chatting for the last, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 months, just on and off. You know, we've been chatting for a little while now. And it's always good to connect with people that are of the same age, on the same, they understand, they know. And, you know, Crush, again, I mean, he's from the East Coast. He's from New York originally. So he's got a lot of advice. I've got a lot of advice myself being on the West Coast, doing my thing. So I figured this would be a special little surprise for you guys. I didn't want to ruin it. I wanted to kind of just throw it on you and let you guys see it for what it is. Again, like I said, hopefully every one of you got something out of this. Tried to answer as many, you know, legitimate questions as we could. And, yeah, as always, if you don't know, get a clue, get a brew, get a rock and roll tattoo. Hang loose and be safe. Madman, Crush are out. Time to go do greaser shit. Adios.